They're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen in the Cayman Islands and in the wider Caymanian diaspora. This is Patrick Schmid sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who will be joining us later on. However, we have a very interesting program for you today on Talk Today. We're going to be focusing predominantly on mental health matters. So if you'd stay tuned to Talk Today, we'll be right back after the short commercial break with our guests.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Live Communication. Let your voice be heard. Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Again, this is Patrick Schmid sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And I have the pleasure of being joined on the phone lines, of course, due to our physical distancing requirements, by none other than Dr. Alexandra Bawden. Good afternoon, Miss Bawden, Mrs. Dr. Bawden, pardon me.
Okay, I'm actually all of those. So that's okay.
Right. Thank you for letting me off that one easily. But Dr. Bawden, it's a pleasure to have you with us once again. I just by way of early clarification, I'd like to point out that as soon as we know about the timing of today's press briefing, we will, of course, pass this on to our listening audience. You are, of course, no stranger to Radio Cayman and the Caymanian public, and it is a pleasure to have you on today to talk about such important issues, especially at a time like this. I understand from you that you have a number of very reputable professionals that will be joining you throughout the course of our discussion. And so without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to you for you to do your intro.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And yes, we are respecting physical distancing and trying to all stay safe from home. So anyone who's familiar with mental health matters, you'll know that we generally have a whole panel of mental health professionals that come on to give their input, discuss strategies, give everyone ideas of ways of being able to manage stress or relationships or mental illness, whatever topic we're taking on for the month. And so this month was actually going to be focusing on wellness. And it was a very popular panel. So we've actually got 4 guests lined up for us today. So with everything going on, we've decided to shift the focus a little bit to maintaining wellness through COVID-19 times, because all of us are facing difficulties these days that are unanticipated and unprecedented, really. So what I've asked each of our panelists to do is to prepare a segment within their field specifically. And so we'll have each of them joining us for 15 minutes to talk about different aspects of what a lot of us are dealing with. So we'll have Miss Heather Lockhart first, so she'll be joining us at 12:30, who is a professional life coach with BHAC, who'll be looking at staying productive and sane while working from home, because a lot of us have taken our computers home and we are working at home with the kids, the dogs, the partners in the other room, sometimes barging in, and there's a lot of aspects that all of us are struggling to try to maintain to be able to stay on top of things, but also stay productive. we'll have Miss Dallas Raleigh from Infinite Mind Care. So she's a marriage family therapist there. She'll be talking about supporting kids and teens and families during COVID-19. So looking at how to support our young ones as well as managing households where kids and teens are present. She'll be coming in at 12:45. At 1 o'clock, we'll have Mr. Terry Delaney joining us, who's a counselor in private practice and very well known through the community. As everyone who knows him will know, he specializes in substance abuse. So he'll be looking at managing stress and substance use during COVID-19. And then we'll have Dr. Cindy George at 1:15, who's a marriage family therapist from Wellness Center, who'll be looking at managing relationships during COVID-19, because I know that's what I keep hearing is like, yeah, the virus is stressful, but what do I do about my kids are driving me crazy, my husband keeps doing this, all of this stuff. And I see memes going everywhere about, the stress that people are feeling with having to be so cooped up, not having our normal outlets to get out, stay active, to do things, interact with other people.
Absolutely.
And so with that, the tensions are building. So she'll be looking at how to manage relationships while we're all stuck at home.
That is superb, and I'm sure that everyone in the listening audience will find this to be a particularly interesting discussion. I should also take this opportunity to point out that because of the all of the professional persons that you've mentioned having a very short period of time in which to bring their particular message on their particular topic, we will not be taking any calls, as I understand it, until about 1:30 or so, when they have finished with their presentations, and you will be on the line with us nevertheless to assist us with any calls. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So I'll stay on afterwards in case if there are any calls.
Okay.
And,
excellent.
yeah, I'm sure that everyone's got questions, and you're very fortunate today. You've got 5 mental health professionals at your beck and call. If anyone is curious about the times, I do have them outlined on Facebook as well as on Instagram on Dr. Alexandra Bodden. And so you can look up the times there if you're wanting to catch a particular segment, but they are in 15-minute segments starting at 12:30.
Excellent, and hopefully Sterling will be joining us as well at about that time, or around 1:30. Sorry, at which point we'll be able to. At which point we'll be able to have more interesting conversation on the matter and any related matters that people may bring. So perhaps what we could do, unless you had something else to say at this point, Dr. Bodden, I understand that your first guest is now on the line.
Okay, great.
Because what I'd like to do is just go to a commercial break, and then that way we can start effectively early with Mrs. Lockhart.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please stay tuned in to Talk Today. We'll be right back.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
Digicel Shake to Win is back. Every Saturday, Digicel is giving you a chance to win LTE handsets, cash prizes, data, D-Music subscription, gas vouchers, grocery vouchers, and that's not all. Every week, you get a chance to win a $5,000 regional prize. Don't miss out. Simply download the new My Digicel app, activate a plan if you're not already on one, and shake to win every Saturday. It's that simple. My Digicel. More made simple. Terms and conditions apply.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing, and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Are you a landlord? Add your tenant to your Water Authority account now. Adding your tenant allows them to have access to account information via telephone or email from the Water Authority customer service team while the country continues to shelter in place to stop the spread of the coronavirus. Email your customer service team at info@waterauthority.ky for guidance through this process.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It is my pleasure to be here on your behalf with Dr. Alexandra Bawden, and also I believe we now have on the line Mrs. Heather Lockhart, who is a professional life coach. So without further ado, I would like to pass over to Dr. Bawden and Mrs. Lockhart.
Well, hello there. It's Heather. Please call me Heather, Patrick, and it's a pleasure to be here today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Dr. Bawden. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Good. Well, I know we're all looking forward to your segment. I explained that all of us are working from home, and there's unique challenges that come up from trying to do everything online and trying to do things with other people in the house. So we're looking forward to some helpful and some interesting information from you for today.
It is. It's such a challenging time for everyone. And this transition, it's an enormous one for most of us. I'm calling in from my home today. This is the first time I've ever been on the radio from my home, so thanks for having me today. The first tip I'd like to share is that it's important for all of us to let go of judgment around this, about productivity itself. So I think there's kind of an interesting judgment out there that the more productive people are doing it right and the less productive people are doing it wrong. So we have to let go of that. There's a lot of social media out there about, baking sourdough bread and doing our exercise routines to perfection, and whiteboards on the board about online learning for our kids, and just doing a lot of productivity activities. So it's important to think about what's possible for each one of us, and to not get caught up in this kind of hyperactivity, and also to be mindful of what we're expecting of others, including our children, our colleagues, those that may report to us. So to kind of manage expectations as we go, I think that's really important at this time. Another tip that I would share is to make sure that we set proper boundaries if you're working from home for the first time. Otherwise, we may end up with sort of a 24/7 environment for work. So one of the things I would say is to set work hours if possible. Working from home can allow for a lot of flexibility, but there needs to be a beginning and an end to your workday. It's meant to allow for a little bit of routine. When we're in the office, there's going to be a lot of external things that show that, hey, the day's starting and it's ending. But it's important to establish a start time, also a midday break, and also when you're logging off for the end of the day. And that can be hard sometimes to stop when you're working from home.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I think that's an important part so that we don't end up working around the clock. But also that we make the most of those designated hours as well.
Fluid if you've got other people in the home. So if you're a mom or a dad and you've got kids in the house, sometimes this can look like, setting up a family schedule. So we don't always have the luxury of just saying, well, this is my schedule for the day. So sometimes this can be a work in motion and looking like setting up a family calendar. If people have, maybe mom and dad both have conference calls, who's looking after the children, who's handling the learning for the day. Meals are very important. Breaks are very important. So it's really important to kind of look at what's the day going to unfold for all of us. How's that look? And what does the family schedule look like? And to allow for that lack of judgment as we try to work through each one of these days together with whoever you're living with. This can also apply for roommates. I've got clients who are living with people that they really don't spend a lot of time with normally. And all of a sudden you've got 4 people in a household that are having conversations, that are on Zoom calls, that are in large meetings, and there can be a lot of friction with that. So working with whoever you're living with at this time and trying to manage your household duties, your work commitments, it can be very stressful when there's a lot of external stressors too. You've got a lot coming in from the media, press conferences every day that we have to watch. So I think trying to keep some baseline structure around your day can be very important for handling stress. So setting schedules can be very, very important to at least try.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And then with that, scheduling in time for either, the physical activity or family time or something fun, which I know is something we always recommend anyway, but, go ahead and make sure you get it in there. Just because you're stuck at home doesn't mean you can't get creative with, with some of the time and make the most of it.
Yes, so every day of our lives is still a day that we want to enjoy. So we want to look at, for one thing, getting outside and taking breaks. What I'm hearing from a lot of my clients as well is they tend to work themselves pretty hard. They're not putting in breaks. At work, we're going to get up and we're going to walk around. We're going to go to the kitchen. We're going to have chats with coworkers. We're going to get up and grab a cup of coffee. And I'm finding that my clients are telling me that they'll work straight through lunch without realizing it sometimes. So we want to put in, some breaks for coffee, some breaks for tea, some time to go out into the yard and get some fresh air. We're only allowed to be outside 90 minutes a day, so we want to make sure we take advantage of it before it gets dark and the curfew comes on. So sometimes, counterintuitively, we have to schedule these things into the day to make sure that we actually take advantage of them. It's also super important to think about meals. And this might sound like something that we're just going to do, but I'm finding that my clients are saying that they're not thinking about it enough. There isn't the brasserie to walk out to go grab a sandwich. We're not ordering meals with colleagues. We're not jumping out of our car and going out and getting, lunch and going out for drinks after work with friends. So it's important to think about, do I have my lunch made? Do I have snacks available? Do I have a pitcher of water? Do I have my Swell bottle? So we want to make sure that we do set ourselves up for success every day if you're working from home. We don't have a lot of those external things ready for us as we normally would. So set yourself up to have a good day with snacks, hydration, maybe some idea of what you might have for lunch, also planning out the kids' lunches. Think about it the night before. You want to look at your schedule, see what's coming, see how you can be as kind to yourself and those that you live with as you possibly can with a little bit of planning. That's really important for your mental health as well as for your physical health. A little bit of planning goes a long way during these very stressful times. Another thing we want to think about is socializing. We're missing a big part of our socialization. Our children are missing it. We're missing it. We're missing it with our colleagues. So there are some ways that we can set up some socialization with coworkers and other people that we may miss through maybe a virtual cup of coffee, some group chats. There's lots of apps that we can use with colleagues to keep that social flow going. We might be missing some subtle things with coworkers if we don't stay in touch with them, unless it's email. So we're all using Zoom right now, or most of us are anyway. But it's also important to keep some other communications that might be a little bit more lighthearted, to make that effort to not get isolated from those that we work with.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of options available. I know we've been doing WhatsApp group calls with my team at work, but also with my friends, and I really enjoyed that. It's an easy way just to connect with others quickly on your phone.
Yes. But sometimes we're so focused on making sure we get our things done through the day that we forget that we want to keep some fun, as you mentioned, Dr. Bodden. Put some fun in. On those breaks, you might want to connect and do something a little silly or something like that, because that's going to come naturally during the workday, where you might have a giggle with somebody, but those things might be missing from our workday if we're working at home. So put a little fun in. Try to make an effort to put something fun in your day for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. So we might have to work a little bit harder to keep, that little zest in the day for ourselves in terms of our workday.
Can I just ask a question? Heather, in terms of ways that we can actually sort of train ourselves, if you will, to be flexible, given you mentioned that there's a need, even with the structure, to be fluid, because things change constantly and so on. What are some practical ways that we can sort of train ourselves to think in that manner, that we don't feel like we have to absolutely stick to the structure or we fail type thing?
Well, I love that question, Patrick. And one of the things we do in coaching, just like in sports, we try something, and if it doesn't work, we're going to try something else the next day. So we just don't want to be too rigid in how we think. We are all around the world. We're in an entirely new game.
Yes.
So it's not like we're just trying to work from home and this is a new assignment under normal circumstances where all of our other resources are available to us. We're all working with limited resources. So we all, as a collective, as humanity, we're just trying our best. So we kind of want to lay down that feeling of, well, I'm failing. This didn't work today. Let's try again. What we're doing in the coaching space is we're just saying, well, that didn't work out too well, or maybe that wasn't perfect, so let's try again. Let's just keep trying and staying fluid, staying flexible. So, what I'm finding is working in the coaching space is just keeping that mantra of I did the best I could today, and I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. We're just trying to get through this the best we can. We'll keep swinging and doing the best we can. And sometimes that might look like saying, you know what, I might just have to take a nap. And I wouldn't do that at work, but I'm at home and I'm exhausted, so I'm going to try to take a nap. Sometimes that's the solution.
And the same, I presume, would apply, unless you tell me differently, of course, to circumstances in which, for example, you might have some frustration with getting a piece of software that you need to work to actually function. It may be good to sort of think, well, let me put it down for now and come back to it a bit later. Would that be correct to say?
Exactly. And again, you're the expert in your own life. Each person is the expert in your own life, but that's a wonderful analogy. Just to set it aside and try again when you have a little bit more bandwidth, a little bit more energy to tackle it again. So just to keep doing your best, keep trying solutions until you find a good fit for that day. And as we've all found out through this COVID-19 crisis, is that what works today might not be appropriate for tomorrow. So we must stay fluid. We must stay flexible in how we're approaching this. And I think that flexibility is going to help us today, tomorrow, and throughout. So I'm looking at the clock and seeing, it's probably time for the next guest. So any other thoughts as we wrap up my segment?
What about people who are having a hard time getting going?
You know what? Great tip that I found is that it can be very helpful to try to have a set morning routine. Get up at the same time every day, have a morning routine, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's a little bit of exercise or your coffee. Have some work clothes, whether that might be more comfortable, but have work outfits and have a set time that you get at your workstation every day. Even if it's just a tiny corner of the house that you've designated for your workstation, have it set up from the day before where you know what you're starting with and get to work at a certain time, almost like you would at the office. So no matter what, if you're not really feeling it, you start at X, whether that might be once the kids are set up for school and fed, whatever time that is, you're getting started, even if you don't feel like it. So have that morning routine set and have your coffee ready or your tea, maybe it's your Milo and milk or whatever you're starting with, you're getting started at X. And try to stick with that as much as you possibly can, your morning routine.
And I presume that this is... Sorry.
I've encouraged people to get creative with the morning routine now that they don't have the commute. It might open time for some other things.
Exactly.
Whether like a mindfulness practice or walk around the yard with the kids.
Yes, and I've heard some wonderful morning routines that are very outside of what would work for me. But my clients are trying different things to whatever gets them started. They're doing intention setting. They're doing wonderful exercises with their children. They're doing whatever it takes for them to really feel ready for the day. And you know what? Again, we're in extraordinary circumstances. So it might take extraordinary measures to feel ready for the days that we're facing right now. And I thank you for the time. I'm sure the next caller is ready. So wishing you both a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time,
Take care.
Heather.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Dr. Bawden, there was only one other sort of, it was a question related to that which you asked that I had, and that was presumably this is also an opportunity to improve on productivity from the perspective. Hello?
That may have been, maybe that was Miss Heather.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Yes. Improve on productivity by actually being able to institute, as you mentioned, the mindfulness aspect of things that we previously, because of our schedule, had not been able to introduce. Sometimes the morning schedule is so hectic, and we know of just previous to COVID-19 or prior to COVID-19, we know of people's difficulties and challenges with getting kids to school early and so on and so forth. Now that rush is not there, and maybe this is an ideal time which will to focus on some mindfulness, which may in turn, and I'm really asking more so than telling, may in turn actually lead to greater productivity, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think it's given. Oh, I know I have a lot more time these days than I have done before, and so I've been trying to, to try new things. All the stuff I always recommend to clients, like I always try it first on myself, but actually trying to implement it. And as Miss Heather said, that structure is so important for our physical and our mental health. Having things to do, the boredom and like downtime is the hardest thing because your mind will find things to occupy itself. And with all the scary stuff on the media these days, it's just amazing the rabbit hole you can go down. So that's where, building in activities, but especially positive activities, can be really helpful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that are doing things like taking back up painting, working on their cooking. There's a lot of different things that you can bring in that can be. My husband's taken up gardening. We'll have cucumbers in a few weeks.
Excellent.
So.
Well, we're going to go to a very short commercial break, and when we come back, of course, we will be speaking with Dr. Bodden still, of course, and then and Miss Mistral, if I'm not sure if I'm Drale, pardon me. So we're just going to have a short commercial break. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tips. Advice for vulnerable people. Extra steps you can take to avoid COVID-19. If you have a chronic illness, such as respiratory disease, diabetes, heart disease, COPD, hypertension, or cancer, or are elderly, over 60, or have a compromised immune system, you can further protect yourself with extra precautionary steps in addition to prevention tips. Remember, you are supported. Call the HSA helpline on 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077 if you have any questions. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for staying tuned. I just would like to take the opportunity to say happy birthday to Radio Cayman on 44 years of service to the people of the Cayman Islands, firstly. And also, welcome back to our mental health segment. A very interesting discussion with some of our professionals in the field, and I'm going to go directly to Dr. Bodden and Ms. Drale, who will be taking up the conversation from here.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. I'm thrilled to have Ms. Dallas Drale on from Infinite Mind Care. So she's a marriage family therapist and going to let us know what we can do with the little ones and how to support our families best while we're all at home through this COVID-19 situation.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, good morning or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Patrick and Dr. Bodden. Thank you so much, first off, for just having me on here today. And I just have to say, I wanted to say thank you to you guys and to Radio Cayman for still having this segment happen. I think it was really cool just to actually highlight just the adaptability and flexibility of the whole team to be able to pull this off. I thought it was really awesome, Dr. Bodden. I just have to say, you sending out a schedule and having us all call in like this is really amazing, just to be able to still get this information out, and it just highlights that resilience as a team as well.
Yeah, no, and thank you very much to yourself and the others for being willing to work with us through it.
Absolutely. This is obviously very different. I miss seeing all of your faces and everything right in the studio, but we're just doing what we have to do for now. And this is actually a kind of a neat experience. I heard Heather as well speak. I've never been on the radio like this before, except for calling in for a contest. So this is a bit different, but also really cool. And still really wanted to be able to share some thoughts and some things that have come up even just in these past few weeks, how quickly everything has changed for all of the families in our community. And so it's a really important topic, and I've got a lot of different things that I wanted to be able to cover. So I don't know if you had questions or if you wanted me to just kind of dive in.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead and go for it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, so in the past 3 weeks, I've been continuing to be able to provide services to the families, individuals, teens, kids, everyone that I've been able to see just via telehealth. But in the past few weeks, of course, so many different concerns have come up and have highlighted different challenges that families are facing now in a new way. And so I kind of made some notes based on pretty much the themes that I've been seeing, and I really wanted to share this information with everybody. The first thing that really stuck out to me was that is so important for families and teens and kids right now, is to really focus on openness and emotional expression right now. Talking about the situation, really being open about it, and reassuring that at least, you're together, you're safe. And this is the whole concept of being your child's or your teenager's emotion coach, right? So instead of kind of, we don't want to say things like, well, don't worry and all that kind of stuff. We want to still validate what's happening. We want to validate feelings. We want to get curious and be empathetic and understanding. And, it's like the worst thing to be told, if you're angry about something, don't be angry, right? It's the same thing if we're feeling scared, that we don't want to say, well, just don't worry about it. It's really important to actually normalize fears and say, it's okay to feel scared, or it's okay to feel uncertain right now, or to feel confused, whatever it might be. So I just found that was one thing that was really important, to try and do that kind of the coaching aspect of this with your kids. And so it's more of the approach to validate feelings and then to talk about problem solving, like what can we do then? So helping children and teens to understand the difference between what's within our control and what's outside of it. That's a huge theme, and again, not just for kids and teens, but for everybody right now, is really focusing on that. I talk about this with pretty much everybody, is that sphere of control. What can we control every day, and then what's outside of that circle, right? And it can be even a good exercise to do with your kids, with your teens, to draw it out and write down what's in that circle and what's outside of it. And that can really help us focus our energy and everything into that center circle. And that's really where our resilience lies, is focusing on what it is that we do have control over.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's a big part. And as I said, humans don't like it when we're not in control and we can't predict what's going to happen. So I agree. That's a big thing coming up. So maybe we could give some examples of things on the inner circle that we can control versus things that are outside?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's really cool because I actually have seen this image kind of, there's so many versions of it, but I've seen it circulating.
I've seen it too.
Yeah, and it's great. There's so many versions of it, but I'll just give the synopsis of what that is in a very simplistic form. But within that circle are our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior, our choices, basically anything that we can say and do, right? So this is reminding our kids and our teens and ourselves of really investing into that and really only that. It's our self-care, it's our time together with our families, it's making the best of the situation that we're in. Those are the things that are within our control right now. Even in times like this where it seems like so much is outside of our control, it's so important to recognize that we can still do so much. And, just the simple fact of staying home, we're doing something, reminding ourselves and our kids that we're actually actively doing something, and I think that can be a really big help. And kind of on that same line, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to kind of move forward to a different topic, kind of bringing that up, mentioning the memes and everything that are circling. And yeah, they can be really helpful. There's a lot of helpful information out there. But one of the really big things I wanted to just mention today was, especially with the impact on kids and teens right now, is social media and screen time and everything, because of just how we are inundated with news and social media. And this is a concern always. This has always been an issue. I talk to families about this all the time, about what their kids are consuming and what they're getting. But now more than ever, I'm seeing this and we're hearing this. And it's so important to make sure that your kids or teenagers are getting correct information and not falling victim to fake news. And, I say that because adults, we fall victim to fake news all the time as well. And so we have to remember that it's a lot even harder for our children to distinguish what's real and what's not. I've heard some things from even the kids and teens that I work with, even in the past few weeks, like some very catastrophizing type information that they're getting, and which has led them, to thinking, okay, well, this is kind of the end of times, and, nothing is ever going to be the same, and the real world isn't going to resume itself. And so then they've actually developed now, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of schoolwork? This is all because of some of the information that they've been seeing, right? So that's really concerning. And as parents, I just really encourage people to make sure that they're talking about this and making sure that they know what sources of information their children and teens are really getting and how that's impacting them, and talking about it, as a result.
Can I ask a quick question? How best, what would you recommend for parents who want to understand better how to be good role models in terms of their use of technology, for example?
Oh, that's a great question. We could have a whole show on it. And, I think that's just a perfect way to say it, though, is that you actually reminding yourself as a parent, you are the role model to your child when it comes to everything. And that includes social media. It includes screen time. It includes all of those things. Your children are looking to you. They're looking to you for how to handle the situation. They're looking to you on how to manage their feelings, on how to get information. And it's so important to model that and to show that, okay, this is how I'm going to get my information for the day, and this is how I'm going to stay healthy. And then this is also how I'm going to set boundaries and limits with it and put it away for the rest of the evening. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And for those parents who are perhaps less confident with the use of technology, and sometimes the kids have to kind of help them out, do you think that is problematic for these purposes, or are there ways to work through that, practical ways to work through that doesn't involve the parent becoming sort of them switching roles effectively?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a really good question, because that's the reality of it, right? That so many the teenagers and kids these days are so far advanced when it comes to our social media and everything and how to work everything than we are. But that doesn't mean that it has to limit the conversation around it, I think. So you may not, as the parent, know exactly what format and the different social media apps that they're using. I think it's a really good opportunity to get into that, though, and to find out more information. Not meaning you have to learn how to do it, but just being aware of what your child is on. That's really important. All the new crazes and TikTok and all these videos that they're seeing every day. It is really important to just be familiar with it without knowing, the ins and outs of it and how to use it. But then also, again, just creating the space for that conversation, because that's happened so many times, again, with just clients that I've seen over the years, children and teens taking in information and believing that it's the truth when, anybody can post anything online, as we know. And then the problem is children and teenagers taking it in as that's reality and that's fact. And that's really what we have to focus on.
Thank you so much. Dr. Borden, did you have anything else?
So much intimidating and scary information out there. So I agree with limiting it for the kids as well as for ourselves, and having the idea, parents can take time to get a little, to get a basic understanding of the social media, and the kids will tell you all about it. I've had several of my teens how to use some of the different ones.
Ms. Strada, did you have any final sort of words of advice? We're going to be breaking at about 1:00 for news.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes,
wow.
ma'am?
That went really quickly. Yeah.
It does.
There were so many other things, of course, and I think maybe this is the last quick message. I can't get into it, right? But is still reminding your children, your family right now that this is about really staying connected with each other within your household and outside of that. this whole idea of social distancing, I'll just say if I had my way, I would have rephrased that to physical distancing and emotional connection, because we can always be emotionally close with people while remaining physically distant. And I think that's just a really important message to make sure that teens and kids know, especially for all of us, but that they're always connected, that they're not alone, and that we can always reach out to other loved ones, and making that a priority no matter what.
Thank you so much for that. Indeed, we're just waiting for the news to be completed. So we just have a few extra seconds. And if I could just say, I noticed in listening to Mr. Connor this morning on For the Record that he too has adopted the physical distancing, which I think Dr. Bawden and Dr. Lockhart were both stressing are important distinguishing titles, if you will, between the actual distancing that we're expected to respect, as opposed to the social distancing, which is a rather confusing term to use. But do you agree, Dr. Bawden?
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's what a lot of sites have actually rephrased it, just as Miss Dallas had done, to look at physical distancing, because I agree. Right now, it's so important for us to stay connected to each other in order to hold on to the relationships, because that's going to be what gets us through. Humans weren't made to live in isolation.
Absolutely. And do we still have Ms. Strale on the line?
Yes, I'm still here.
Hi, thanks. Just want to check with you. So, and this is for both you and Dr. Bawden, really, and for the listening audience, most importantly, I suppose. Throughout this this challenge with COVID-19, are your respective offices available to take additional clients, give advice over the phone and so on? You mentioned telehealth, for example. So is that something you're doing with only existing clients, or are you taking on additional clients?
Yeah, I'll say we are absolutely taking on new clients now more than ever. To be honest, our staff is ready to help our community in any way that we can. We know that this is an incredibly stressful time for everybody in different ways, so we are absolutely offering it is via telehealth, of course, currently, but we are taking on new clients, families, couples, kids, individuals. And we are also offering right now just to do a free check-in of up to a 30-minute call with a therapist on the phone here with us at Infinite Mind Care.
Excellent. So the purpose of that is just sort of to ascertain whether you can help, or whether you would direct them elsewhere. Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's basically just if you need to check in with somebody and you want to see if it would be appropriate, if you would like to continue on with support, we can help you to do that either with us or by making the appropriate referral. But really just wanting to make sure, because at this time a lot of people don't have the access, or they might just be unsure to get the process started, right? This might not be the time that you're just unsure more than ever about how to go about that. And we wanted to make sure that wasn't a barrier for anybody considering reaching out and just talking to a counselor.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, and I'll post all of our information online, but Dallas, maybe you just want to say how they could get in touch with you guys?
Absolutely, yeah. The best way would just be to reach us. We're on social media, and so you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, online, and then you could call us at 926-0882 or infiniteMindCare.com. And again, just on Facebook, social media, we post all of our events and different help tips and videos every single day as well.
Ms. Strale, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure, of course. We're going to go to the news now, and Dr. Bawden will be with us when we return, along with Mr. Terry Delaney.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only two species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Police officers are given a new special area to keep them safe while at work.
The tent outside the glass house is actually for a police breakout session, just to make sure they're doing social distancing.
Director of Hazard Management Danielle Coleman tells Radio Cayman the new tent offers officers and staff more space to work in an effort to protect them from potential COVID-19 exposure. A 4-year-old female Malayan tiger at the Bronx Zoo in New York has tested positive for coronavirus. The tiger, named Nadia, is believed to be the first known case of an animal infected with COVID-19 in the U.S. The Bronx Zoo in New York City says a test result was confirmed by the National Veterinary Services Laboratory in Iowa. And Guatemala has asked the U.S. to limit the number of people it puts on planes for deportation to Central American countries to 25, down from 60 to 90. 2 people had been taken to hospital after testing positive for coronavirus upon getting off a deportation flight. Guatemala says it's concerned deported migrants from the U.S., which has the highest number of cases in the world, will spread the virus to Guatemala. It has 70 confirmed cases. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up-to-date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today. It can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed from Wednesday the 25th of March for 10 days, or until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all-clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
Attention landlords and property owners. Now is the time to register for an online account with Water Authority. As we all continue to shelter in place to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, having an online account means you can easily view your bill and make emergency service requests from the safety of your home. Email the Water Authority customer service team at info@waterauthority.ky today to register for your online account.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for staying tuned to us here on 89.9 FM. We will get a notification as soon as it is available regarding the government press briefing later on. I'd like to thank Dr. Alexandra Bodden and Mr. Terry Delaney, who are both on the line, for being patient with us as we made our way through the commercials, and now we're back with them. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to them straight away.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Patrick, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Terry. Glad to have you on. I know that during stressful times, substance use is always something that tends to rise, as do our other unhealthy habits like overeating and letting healthy habits slip. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate being asked to join in on this. Obviously, so far we've had quite a show going. And one of the things I want to start off with is just a very, very basic concept I use with all my clients, whether it's substance use, anxiety, grief, whatever it might be. And it's what I refer to as the big three. And it's the major three things that have to be relatively in balance for us to be emotionally stable. The first one is nutrition. We've got to keep our diet balanced, or bare minimum, take a vitamin on a daily basis, one of these multiple vitamins that give you the basic needs we need each day. But also watch our diet closely. It was mentioned earlier by other members of this panel, if I can call it a panel, that we need to take a look. We're not trying to skimp too much. We got to watch our budgets. We know that. But excuse my exaggeration, 3 Hot Pockets a day is not good nutrition. We need to have some meals for a little bit of a break, a little bit of a playful, whatever. But we need to have the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients, the vegetables and fruits we need. So that's one. The other one is, one of the other ones is exercise. We definitely need exercise. I don't necessarily mean go to the gym and work out like crazy for an hour and a half, which is what we have on the soft curfew. But getting outside, doing a bit of a walk, a bit of a run, a bit of a bike ride, a bit of whatever it might be. Inside, there's things we can do as well. Game playing, these kinds of things. Playing with the kids can be very good exercise also. The third one is sleep, and that might be the biggest challenge, is we got to watch how much sleep we're getting. Are we undersleeping or oversleeping? Either one can become a major problem. Because we honestly don't know how long we're going to be into this. So we need to watch our sleep patterns and do everything we can to keep them balanced. If we have those three together, we're in pretty good shape and we can handle a lot of things. Now, to step over into the area of substance abuse and even addiction, and there's also a concept of substance use, the appropriate use of substances. When people get emotionally challenged, as we are right now, incredibly so, the tendency is, and we've all heard the phrase, boy, I need a drink. How do we define that two-word phrase, a drink? Is it literally going to be a drink, or is it going to be a six-pack or maybe a bottle of wine? And we need to watch ourselves closely. It's too easy to get into, we'll just go grab another one and not think about how many I've had, and then get angry because the 8 beers I had are gone. And I think we need to be thinking about this actively and finding ways to keep track of what we're doing. This is true with prescription medication, too. I'm not a medical doctor, nor am I a pharmacist, and I'm not trying to talk about what should be prescribed, etc. I'm saying when you get a prescription, you have to follow it. Too many people get into this mentality of, well, today was so much more hectic, so even though the doctor said I should take 2 a day, maybe I'll take a third today. That is a risky thing to do, even if you only do it once or twice. But it's too easy to fall into a pattern of relying upon that for emotional balance because it complicates so many other things. One of the major ones we look at and talk about is alcohol. You know, alcohol is a wonderful substance. It's here for everybody to enjoy. I'm not a negative person about alcohol. It's great. But it's so easily abused. My understanding is it's an ancient saying that fits so well. And it says, first a person takes a drink, then the drink takes a drink, then the drink takes the person. And whether we're talking about one evening of drinking or if we're talking about a 20-year life history, that can be so very true. Now, a couple of the complicating factors. I'm going to be flooding people with information, and I hope that's not overwhelming to folks, but alcohol is actually a sedative drug, and it sedates our immune system. Now, we're facing COVID-19, one of the most deadly viruses that's ever been on this planet. And at the same time I'm fighting that, do I really want to sedate my immune system? See, not only is it a sedative sedating our immune system, but alcohol is one of the hardest substances for the liver to metabolize or break down. And so what it does is the liver takes on the toughest challenge first. So if I'm taking a prescription medication and during the day doing some drinking, I might as well throw the prescription med out the window because my system, my liver primarily, is going to be working on the alcohol and not so much the other medication, a demedication. So we're risking in two ways our immune system. We're making the liver busy with the alcohol, and we're sedating it. I think we all know about our thinking and how thinking can be impacted by drinking and how much we drink. And it can give us a sense of euphoria, and it feels good. That's the basic reason human beings drink alcohol. is because it does feel good. And we desperately want to feel good during these tough times. But to what risk? To what costs? It's too easy for the feel good to go over the top. And it starts complicating our emotional situation. We get more confused. We get exaggerated emotions. We overly react to things, especially frustration. So as been mentioned many times, all of a sudden working at home, and we do have the family life is wonderful, it's also chaotic. That's a reality. If I'm trying to do my work, and in the next room, or even out in the yard, there's 4 people I love dearly, screaming and yelling and laughing and dogs barking and all the rest of it, it's going to be a frustration. We all know perfectly well that level of frustration, if I've had several drinks, is going to be very, very different than if I've not had any drinks. And we have to be cautious of that. We've known for so many, many, many years that when there are stressful situations and alcohol is combined, domestic abuse and domestic violence increase. We don't need another severe social malady in this country. We're trying to deal with COVID-19. Let's make absolutely sure we back away from those mistakes, those choices to verbally or even physically lash out.
Mr. Delaney, I was wondering if I could ask a quick question from a layman's perspective, and that is, what are some good signs or indications that people can look out for that they may be dangerously near the edge of going too far with anything, with any type of substance?
I think one thing is you have to build a really, really solid and intense trust with your partner and be able to listen to them. If they say, wow, I know you've only had X number of drinks, but I know you and I see you changing a little bit. Can you please just back it down a little? Rather than get defensive and arguing and getting angry and all of that, why don't we say, okay, you probably see something I can't see. That's where we're going to get a lot of help. We ourselves know full well when we start feeling those effects of alcohol. We start getting frustrated. And we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware that if I feel like my temperature's going up, if I feel or can see in a mirror my face is turning red, or all these different physical signs of where I'm getting, then it's probably wisest if I can go into a room by myself, go outside for a very short walk, maybe on the property, stand with both the curfews, and yield to some of the emotions and let them go away rather than let this alcohol-impacted, inappropriate emotion get out of line. We can all control it. We do it pretty often and we don't even realize it. We need to do it more often now because of the intensity of this situation. 80%, this is a statistic worldwide, 80% of the people in the world know how to drink alcohol without problems. So there's 20%, 1 out of 5, that's a pretty high percentage actually, that find they do have some kind of a problem. They either have episodes of extreme over drinking, or maybe they're the weekend heavy drinker, but they need to become aware of their own sense and what they need to do. This might be a perfect time to work at some degree of severe control, if not abstinence. After the holidays, so often we hear people talk about having a dry January or, going to take a month out of the year to not have alcohol or anything else other than prescriptions, and cleanse and prove to themselves and others that they don't, quote, have a problem. Just the fact you need to do that makes me ask questions, to be really honest with you. But the reality is, at least they're paying attention. They're saying, I got to back off for a while. I got to clear things out here. then maybe this is a perfect time to do that.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. A lot of the normal, things that we'd have to catch us, like having to get up and go to work the next day or being with friends, a lot of the safeguards aren't there now. And we're kind of left alone to our feelings. And when the drink gets a part of that, it can get out of hand quickly. Sorry, Mr. Patrick.
That's fine, Dr. Bodden. I just wanted to say I'm cognizant of the fact that Dr. George is probably on a tight schedule as well. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Delaney, as well as Dr. Bodden for this important aspect of the segment. We have to go to a very short commercial break, and when we come back, if we'd ask the listening audience to stay tuned, we'll be right back with Dr. Bodden and Dr. George. Thank you so much, Mr. Delaney. It's been a pleasure to have you on here with us.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
ValueMed Pharmacy is your community care partner for health and wellness needs. We offer convenient prescription processing at the counter and online at value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com, with pickup available at the Walkers Road or Boddentown location. We also accept transfer prescriptions from other pharmacies. More than just a pharmacy, shop ValueMed for personal care and beauty products from trusted brands, perfume and gift sets, Hallmark and greeting cards, baby clothes, footwear, handbags, swimwear, home decor, toys, school supplies, and stationery. And home convalescence aids like wheelchairs, walkers, crutches, canes, and hospital beds. With 2 locations to serve you, Walkers Road in Georgetown and in Evron Plaza, Boddentown. Visit ValueMed, more than just a pharmacy.
Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I am pleased to have Dr. Alexandra Bodden with us, and I believe we also have Dr. Cindy George now with us as well. Thank you so much for your patience whilst we were waiting for the commercial breaks to be completed. We are going to allow as much time as possible, as your schedule allows, for you to bring to us your segment of our mental health today. So without further ado, welcome, Dr. George.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. And hi, Dr. Bodden. How are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
Very
Glad
good.
you're able to join us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And no problem. I was just really listening to the show and just some wonderful, wonderful suggestions about parenting, wonderful suggestions in terms of substance use. So just wanted to add my thoughts on managing relationships. I have jotted down 4 key points, and I'll try to definitely be clear and succinct and get through them in the time that we have. First of all, I just want to say that I know this is a difficult time for a lot of persons, and relationships are going to be challenged. Relationships are going to go through their trials because we're now testing ourselves. We're all in if we have large families, and we have to really be able to know how to deal during this time. So I'm going to focus mostly on the couples relationship because I think one of our guest speakers had spoken a bit to, how to work with the children. So I want to focus a bit more on the couples piece and the family. And the first thing I have is communication. And I cannot say I can't say enough, about communication, because during this time it's so important to just really communicate well with our partners. The 2 things I really want to add is we want to be direct. We want to be very direct. We're having a lot of changes in the home. We're having partners that are working from home, and they then have to maintain that. And sometimes things may get lost in translation. Things may get lost in terms of what your needs are. What do you want your spouse to do as it relates to taking care of the children? And so we just want to be direct and specific with our partners and with our spouses. If you want, for example, you're going to take some time off between 9 and 12 to do some work. You let your partner know, hey, I'm going downstairs, or I'm going to be in the office. Please ensure the kids have lunch, etc. So we want to be very specific and direct as to what we want from our partners. And just be assertive in our behaviors, because we don't want to be passive or passive-aggressive, or even aggressive. But we just want to be respectful. We want to be mindful of the other person's feelings. So communication is very, very important. And we want to express, our needs. What do you want to get during this time? What do you want to give? Because it's just not a matter of giving or just a matter of receiving, but it's both. And we want to look at that. And I want to close out this communication piece by saying we just want to be able to strengthen those roles, in terms of the couple piece. And I think if we communicate very well, we use those I messages, really say what you want. It's defining better our roles. And just take this time to learn to observe your partner. What am I seeing in my partner that I didn't know before? And take this time not to think that it's a negative thing, but it's actually something positive. You have all this time. Just be observant and learn. And I know I said one more thing, but I just want to add one other thing. It's an emotional time. It's an emotional time. And I know persons are thinking if they were on the brink of moving away from their partner, or if they're having issues within the relationship, please just consider that we're all in an emotional time and we don't want to make any decision that's going to affect the relationship or the family right now. So just take the time to spend together, learn and observe each other, and we don't really want to make any decisions on emotion. So I just really wanted to add that piece in there in terms of making emotions with respect to relationships. Now, the second thing I want to look at is not forget intimacy. Very, very important. And I'm speaking more to the couples. Intimacy with your partner may get lost during this time. You have so much going on. You're at home, you're working, you have a lot of demands from your employer, you're parenting, you have the kids, you have all the kids at home all at once. And I know it might get very difficult, but we want to recognize that we have to still connect. We have to still find that time, organize that time, make a schedule. It's okay. It's okay to make that schedule with, what's happening in that day. The kids are doing their schoolwork during that time. You're doing your work time. And then you plan that special intimacy time with you and your partner. So I just really wanted to stress that because sometimes it may get lost. And then the third thing, how are we perceiving this? And I want to use the word reframe. We need to begin to start reframing how we look at the outcome of the virus in that we're all home and we're all locked down and we're all social distancing. But our perception of it is not to see like, oh, I'm stuck with my children, or I'm stuck at home, or I'm stuck with my spouse. But really think of it as a time of getting to strengthen those family bonds. We look at the family, and the family is we have the subsystem, we have the parental subsystem, we have the spousal, and we have the sibling with the children. Can we look at it as how can we then strengthen the bonds, the ties between these systems? We want to spend family time together. We want to play games. We want to maybe look at old photos. What can we do to connect as a family? We have movie night, all of these things. And I want us to, if we look at it in terms of the separate systems and then as the whole, I think it would be a bit easier because sometimes we get so overwhelmed and we go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with everything? But just looking at it in terms of each subsystem and strengthening each subsystem, having those clear boundaries, set rules, set guidelines. The kids still have to go to bed at a certain time. They still have to do their schoolwork. Parents, keep those boundaries, keep those rules and guidelines in there. And let's learn to strengthen the family system. And the last thing I want to speak to Dr. Bada and Mr. Patrick, and for our listening audience, I want to ask us, what next? We talk about the coronavirus. We talk about the fact that we're on curfew and we're on lockdown or soft curfew, and we're in and we're social distancing, and we're learning how to manage and all of that. But what happens after? We do hope that this situation will resolve and we will get back to some sense of normalcy. But then what happens to our relationships? What happens to our families after? And I just want us to, yes, want to live in the present, but I also want to encourage you to start having something to look forward to. What is the family going to be like? Are we going to continue to have family nights? Are we going to maybe take a little vacation? Are we going to have some more quality time as a family, So just kind of looking toward after all of this is over, and how will our family be? What will our family look like after this time? And those are just the four things that I had for us, and I could add a lot more, but I think those are the basic ones. Just communicate well, be assertive and direct. Spend that time with the intimacy with your partner. Don't forget each other. Let's just reframe our thinking. This is a time for strengthening the family, not a time where, oh my goodness, I'm burdened with this. But it's just a time of reframing, strengthening those subsystems within the family. And then just what are we going to do next? Look forward to the future and
Dr. George, thank you so much for that. That is extremely enlightening for me as a layman, and I'm sure many of our listening audience will also find it as such. I was just wondering, given what you said in particular in relation to your fourth point about what next, it seems to me, and by all means correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that a lot of the things that all of the good people that we've had the pleasure of hearing from today are giving advice that could well be carried forward and help to improve things even after we're through this pandemic. And so could that be part of what's next?
And you're absolutely right, Mr. Patrick. And we're calling it what do we do now in this pandemic, but these are absolutely things that we can do after, right? These are things we can do after the pandemic. Continue that communication. Hopefully during this time we would have communicated, we would have opened up, we would have shared with our partner, observe our partner, see what's happening, share your thoughts, share your concerns. And hopefully during this time we would have strengthened. And that's one of the key words that I want to use, Mr. Patrick and Dr. Bodden. We use this time as strengthening. We're strengthening our marriages. We're strengthening the family system just by some of these key tips that I've given. So definitely, yes. I mean, after we want to still continue with these things. And then also, too, I want us to recognize when I also say after, not just to continue with those things, but where do we go after this? Reward ourselves. We can reward ourselves. I say take a little vacation. Some people might be able to do it, some people may not. But just something whereby we feel as if, yes, I've come out at the other end, and let's just do something. Let's just do something different. But absolutely using those tips and maintaining them.
Can I also ask you just quickly, what are some things that we could use? You're talking about the importance of communication, being direct, being specific, being clear, being assertive when necessary. And what are some things that we can do to lighten the mood, because we're having to communicate so many serious things and so clearly and assertively sometimes? How can we ensure that it's balanced?
Definitely, and you're absolutely right. A lot of times, a lot of things that we are communicating might seem heavy. We're communicating with the kids about always making sure that they're exercising the proper hygiene. We're talking to our spouse about schedules and so forth. But I think the balance in it is to just really and I don't want to say find humor, but just to really recognize that we can smile, we can be, how should I say, light. We can have a lightness to it. And, I talked about a few minutes ago about photos and playing games and just really having fun with your family, having fun with your spouse. I had a client share it the other day that, they were just looking at some old movies and they were just laughing at how silly they were and, just different things like that. And just recognizing that it's okay to smile. It's okay to have fun, even though it's a very serious time. So balancing it out with that definitely is important. Yeah, very good point, Mr. Patrick.
Thank you so much, Dr. George. Dr. Bodden, did you have anything else at this point?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with everything she's saying. And I know one thing that I've been encouraging along those same lines is gratitude and letting family members know when we're grateful or we appreciate something that they're doing.
Yes.
To help with the positive interactions as well, because right now a lot of emotions are running high, and it can be hard to have that clear communication when the emotions and the stress levels are so high. So
absolutely,
taking time for yourself so you can be clear and assertive.
That's excellent advice. I'd like to thank you both. We're going to have to go once more to a short commercial break. A couple of important messages for the audience. We understand that the press briefing will happen as near as possible to 2:00, if not specifically at 2:00. And in between that time, and when we return from the commercial break, we'll take the opportunity to discuss with Dr. Bodden and whomever else may still be able to be on the line any questions that the audience may have in relation specifically to these issues, please. So we'll be right back. Please stay tuned to Talk Today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today. It can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
For the health of it, Radio Cayman's premier health show is brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy, the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association, Holy Cross Hospital,
Cayman Fertility Center,
and EatingClean.com.
This is For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For nearly 20 years, King Sports Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we are temporarily closed until further notified by the Cayman Islands government that it is safe to reopen. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I have the pleasure of being joined by a number of the persons who are in the mental health panel this afternoon. At least I think I do. And it is certainly my pleasure to be here with our listening audience. I believe we may also have, if not yet. We will soon have the host, Mr. Sterling, on with us. And so, without further ado, I'd like to pass directly back to the panel and remind the listening audience at the same time that if you have any specific questions, that is to say specific to the topics, please, this is your time to call in and ask those questions. Dr. Bodden?
Yeah. No, thank you guys very much for having us on. I think there's so much uncertainty in the air. I think it's helpful to know that, that everyone is going through this. It's stressful, it's frustrating, it's scary. It's exciting to have time off. You know, there's all these feelings that are going around and that we're all going through it. Us, our partners, our kids, our family members. So I think it's really helpful to know that there's also a lot of help out there as well. We're very fortunate that that the government has set up the mental health helpline, which is available at no cost to anyone in Cayman, which is available at 1-800-543-6463, 534-6463, sorry. And so that's available should anyone have any questions. But there's also a lot of professionals out there who are able to provide support and, at whatever level you need, whether it's going to be a few minutes by phone or if it is going to be actually starting therapy with one of us or one of the other many qualified professionals on island. I think all of us are very good. If we're not able to help you with what specifically is happening, we're very good about sharing with others and pass you on to someone who we think will be more helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Bodden. Do we have Sterling on the line now? Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Schmid and Dr. Bodden. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I think we may also have a few other panelists on the line. I'm not entirely sure, though. Do we have Dr. George or Ms. Drale on the line?
Yes, Mr. Patrick, I'm still here.
Excellent.
How are you, Mr. Sterling?
Oh, I am blessed, man. And I want to say first two things. One, Patrick, you again, publicly, you do a fantastic job. Just sitting here listening. But secondly, to be able to sort of sit, I don't mean to offend my family and closest friends who love to watch the one-eyed monsters, I call it, screen. But to be here, sitting, be able to watch, how you present, it's encouraging. It makes me want to take some pointers as to how I can improve. So thank you for that. And equally, to Dr. Bodden, I think with great deference to all of the other shows we do, all the other things in the media, I think this particular show has been most timely. And the amount of work she, together with all of the other panelists over the years, to be able to sort of sit here and listen as opposed to be there moderating, trying to figure out when it's a commercial break, what did that person say? Just actually listen to the participants, the contributions. Invaluable. I mean, Dr. George's last comments about intimacy. I hope people don't misunderstand. It's not just sexual. It's about being, playing the game with the parents, but the couple's intimacy as well. To sit and chat, just to hug, cuddle, snuggle, and to be reassured, to be reminded that, yes, this too shall pass. Yes, it is challenging, but equally important. We have now. Let's give thanks for now, because no man is promised tomorrow. So, thank you all for letting me be able to sit here on the other side of the table and listen. Not to have to necessarily participate, but just actually be still and listen.
And Sterling, I'm just I'm letting you lead this. I'm going to be quiet. So I understand that Mr. Delaney is now also on the line with us, which is great. So by all means, please, anyone who feels like they would like to add additional information at this stage, please go right ahead. And we're unfortunately going to have to close the phone lines, given the fact that we have to have both the news and the 2:00 briefing following immediately thereafter.
Hi, this is Dr. George. I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Sterling. I'll just take 1 second to clarify when I said intimacy. Yes, I just did not mean the sexual intimacy. I meant emotionally. Connect with your partner, share your thoughts, be vulnerable. Share that you're scared. How are you feeling? And that a mental intimacy as well. What can we do to help our family, work together? So thank you so much, Mr. Sterling, for that. And again, definitely intimacy on all of us. Thanks.
No, thank you for saying that, because that's how I took it. The importance that I think too often, as I listened to you, and then for me it was, well, I don't know about anybody else, but for me it was very, very instructive in that, we're so busy now making sure that the family is provided for, the family is protected, our businesses are being managed, that we don't, lose all our investments, that we still have our job, that we're balancing all of these things. And sometimes when we come home, and even if that home is the fact that we've left the living room to come into the, the kitchen, we haven't gone beyond the four walls of our house or from one floor to the next, depending on the size of our abode. The fact is that we're probably stressed and we're not cognizant of the need, to be loving, caring, and compassionate, and concerned, and committed, and and all the things, as Dr. Borden said, appreciative, show the gratitude to our children, even just grab the cat and pet her for a little bit more,
Sorry, Dr. Borden?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just having a hard time hearing him.
Oh, right. Okay.
Sorry.
I
I heard something about. I heard about the I heard little bits and pieces as we were going. Something about the gratitude as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sterling, but basically just in some ways summarizing the importance of all of the things that have been discussed and brought forward by the various professionals who have been kind enough to give of their time today, to combine those various different factors to try to make the best of a difficult situation, and to remember going forward to draw the good lessons from it and leave the bad ones behind, so to speak. It was probably the message, yes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, what Ms. Heather talked about in the first part with that flexibility is important with all of it. Communication is huge, but it's never perfect. We're all humans, right? Even with drinking and managing stress, having compassion for ourselves and for the people around us, I think is really important to know that we're all doing the best that we can. And we are going to make mistakes and we're going to do things less than ideal ways. But the important thing is to step back and learn from it. That's what I always encourage my clients to do anyway. Well, this and this happened. That didn't go quite as we hoped. What could we do differently next time? So it's not invalidating that experience or saying that we're bad people or failures because something didn't work out like we hoped. But what can we take from that to move forward? So whatever you do, you get information, and it's a learning opportunity. We've had a lot of learning opportunities recently with everything going on, but I think to keep that spirit, I think Ms. also talks about staying curious as well. And I think that's really important to take this opportunity to look for new ways of doing things and take the time to have the conversations that Dr. George was talking about, or taking that time to explore sobriety and learning new ways of dealing with stress that maybe we haven't taken the time, when we're taking that sober month, like Mr. Terry was saying.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borden. Just as soon, we have a very short commercial break, and I'd like to invite Mr. Delaney and I believe if Mr. Ali is still on the line to have some comments as well, just as soon as we return.
Digicel is all about giving customers more convenience, more peace of mind, and more flexibility. Do more with the new My Digicel app. Buy plans, pay your bill, track your credit, track your data, and monitor your account. It's easy to use and has everything you need in one place. It's time to simplify your life, so go ahead and see for yourself. Download the new My Digicel app today. More made simple.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tips. Advice for vulnerable people. Extra steps you can take to avoid COVID-19. If you have a chronic illness such as respiratory disease, diabetes, heart disease, COPD, hypertension, or cancer, or are elderly, over 60, or have a compromised immune system, you can further protect yourself with extra precautionary steps in addition to prevention tips. Remember, you are supported. Call the HSA helpline on 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077 if you have any questions. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We just have a few minutes remaining in today's mental health segment. Very important and crucial segment and discussion that we were having here. So I'd like to go directly to Mr. Delaney, if he's still on the line, for his thoughts.
Here, a real quick thank you to all of you for all you've contributed. It's been excellent. And a quick little apology also to Dr. George. I didn't realize I took up as much time as I did, but I get a bit impassioned. I think one of the things we need to look at very, very closely, so much of this is literally common sense. we need to stop and think, whether it has to do with obeying the curfews as they're, I think, brilliantly set up for different times of the day, or if it has to do with what I'm going to have to drink or how much I'm going to eat, or any of these different subject matters that have come up. The emotionality of this time is incredible. You know, there's a lot of talk about the world's never experienced a pandemic like this one in the past. And the emotional aspect of that is true as well. So we really, really need to be caring, sensitive, forgiving, accepting, so that we can get along and get through this together as a team. And I wish everyone here safety and health.
Thank you, sir. Is Ms. Strale on the line?
Yes, I just called back in. I'm here.
Thank you so much. Just wondering if you had any final thoughts for us.
Oh, well, there's a lot more that I was hoping that we, would be able to get into and share today. I think one of the biggest things, just again, going back to reiterating what some other people have mentioned today, during this time, no matter what's going on, we need to be compassionate with ourselves and with our families, with our partners, with our kids. As frustrating as so many things might be right now with having to adjust to all working from home together and going to school together, it's completely unprecedented for all of us, right? Just as Mr. Terry was just saying, right, none of us have been through anything like this before. So what we really need to focus on, I would say, is compassion for ourselves and everyone else around us. And then through that, we can hopefully find this as an opportunity to connect in new ways together.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And is there anyone else from the panel that's still on the line with us that would like to have some closing words, please?
Hi, this is Dr. George. I'm still here. I just wanted to say for couples and families, the takeaway is just strengthening the family and increasing the intimacy. And if we look at it that way, I think we will all come out of this stronger as individuals and stronger as family units. And I just wanted to add that last piece.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Bodden?
Yeah, no, I would, if it's okay, I'd ask them to share their contact information. It will be available, on drbodden.com, and there's information about them on our Facebook and our Instagram as well. But just so that you're able to get in touch with them. And we're all working in different areas and have different backgrounds. And I think that what I love about the panels is that you get to see the different personalities that are available for support, because with therapy, it's so important to have the right fit. I don't believe Miss Heather's back with us, but she's Heather Lockhart. She's a professional life coach at BHAC, which is available at bhac.ky or 746-0066. And BHAC does have psychiatry, therapy, as well as the life coaching.
Thank you, Dr. Bodden. And did you have any additional thoughts yourself in relation to the topic, Sorry, I just want to be clear. Are we now? Is each person going to be sharing their contact detail?
That's what I was hoping.
Oh, pardon me. I misunderstood.
And then I have one little thing to wrap up at the end.
Of course. Okay. Please take, by all means, the next person should go right ahead.
Okay, this is Terry Blaney again, and I can be reached at Terry, Terry, D as in David, Command, at gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp call or message me at 526-1378, which is obviously also my phone number, so you can call if you want to use the old line of communication. Thank you.
Dr. George?
Yes, I'm sorry for cutting off. I couldn't hear. It was very, very faint, so I didn't realize someone was on. My apologies. But yes, I'm the Imagine Family Therapist at the Wellness Center. We're located in the Smith Road Plaza on Smith Road in Georgetown, and we are fully operational. We're still working. We are utilizing telehealth, and so you can always give us a call on 949-9355, and we are on all the social platforms. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram. You can check out our website, the Wellness Center, as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Bodden, was there anyone else that I missed?
Yeah, Miss Alice.
I I'll just quickly share. I know that I was able to share a little bit of my contact information earlier, but again, my name is Dallas Drawley. I work at Infinite Mind Care, and we're located in Cannon Place, and I am a marriage and family therapist. I do see couples, teens, families, kids, and our number is 926-0882. InfiniteMindCare.com. Again, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and we do a bunch of daily videos and posts, and we also do a monthly talk on, we usually do it at Books and Books, but of course in this day and age we're doing something a bit different, so we're doing online talks. And so this month is all about managing stress. It's on April 18th, Saturday morning, and we're going to be doing another Facebook Live or Zoom chat call for that as well. So I encourage anyone who's interested to check that out.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borden.
Yeah, I am mindful it's now 2 o'clock and we may go to the press briefing any minute, but I just want to remind everyone, so I'm at Encourse Cayman. I have some other therapists that work with me as well, and we do therapy and testing for kids, teens, and adults. But we also have, in Cayman, we have the mental health helpline that's now available, 1-800-534-6463, and that's available at free of charge from 9 to 5. And the counseling center is still up and operational, operating by telehealth, like you've heard all of us talk about as well, which is secure video chats or at times phone calls with a therapist, and that's available again at no charge to anyone in Cayman. The counseling center is available at 949-8789.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you to you and to the panel and to Mr. Sterling for helping us to arrange this. This is definitely, it's our first completely virtual show, and I'm really glad that it went really well, I think.
Yes.
And so I'm really excited that we're still, and I really wanted to highlight the panel because you do have people, all of us coming together from so many different organizations, so many different backgrounds. So, all of us are really working together to support each other and to support the community through this time. And I think, it's just been, I really appreciate how the community's come together to even a lot of us have volunteered to help with the helpline as well if needs be. So I really appreciate the support we've had from the mental health community because we're all here for you, Cayman.
Thank you so much, Dr. Borden, and all the panelists. We will be right back after the news.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access to information. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team. Today's biggest news.
The Ombudsman has decided to investigate the actions of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service due to the pursuit of a number of motorcyclists in the Newlands area of Grand Cayman on April 4th. Ombudsman investigators are currently awaiting the production of a number of initial documents, recordings, and statements from the RCIPS to assess the circumstances and determine additional investigative requirements. However, the Ombudsman will not make any comments while the investigation is ongoing. Once the investigation concludes, a public report will be made available. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, policies concerning masks vary from country to country. In Turkey, the government says it will post 5 masks a week to anyone aged 20 to 65 who request them. The Turkish government's sewing factory department normally makes military uniforms, but is now producing 1 million masks and 5,000 items of protective clothing a week. And the daily number of coronavirus deaths has fallen in Spain for a 4th consecutive day, boosting hopes the country has passed the outbreak's peak. Today's increase of 637 deaths means 13,055 have died in total. The nation has more than 135,000 confirmed cases, the most in Europe, but new infections have been slowing. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today. it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I have my good friend Sterling on the other end of the line. I'm not sure if anybody else is still with us, but what we're hoping to do is to have some discussion until such time as we're required to go to the press briefing. Sterling, are you there?
Yes, man. Thank you for allowing me to stay on.
I'm just trying to do a Sterling job, like you said.
I tell you, man, honestly, you do a fantastic job, and it's something that I'm hoping that as people see you in that chair, two things will be very evident. One, the need for more of us to get involved with the media, whether we, do the professional training and become journalists, which I think is probably one of the greatest, most honorable callings, probably after, medical and teaching. The importance for Caymanians to be able to help to tell the story, to report, to ask questions. We are, every day now glued with bated breath to the press conferences. Some are still looking at it from the sort of socioeconomic and the political machinations that occur. But nonetheless, the questions that emanate from the media is important. But
Absolutely.
Then the way it's reported so that we as a people can be informed and perhaps form our own opinions, perhaps be encouraged now to maybe ask other questions as well.
And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit here. I know I can't fill those shoes, but it's been good. It's been a good experience for me, and hopefully the listening audience has benefited somewhat from our efforts. And also to say that, of course, tomorrow you'll be back here in the seat, and I'll be out of here. But
well, you won't be going far, and you certainly won't be out of mind. And if it's not evident, if I haven't said it properly, the thanks is personal and public. I've had excellent feedback from many who, have watched, not just watched the radio, but listened to the radio, and your conduct, not just the deportment, but the way that you have presented has been, for me, I learned an experience. I've taken away some tricks, and I appreciate getting a chance to do what I needed to do here, knowing that it was in excellent hands with you at the helm.
And of course, a lot of this is me being whipped into line by the authorities that be. but
sure, Miss Susan isn't that bad.
I didn't call any names, Sterling, another important point, of course, to bring to the audience's attention whilst we wait for the press briefing to come is the fact that that the whole keeping positive theme. One item of reassurance, if you will, that we can certainly bring up, which is pointing directly to the most pragmatic aspect of COVID-19 is the fact that to date we've had 365 people tested, 326 have been negative, 39 positives, but of every person who actually contracted or was at all related to well, let me start again. Contracted here was proven to be positive here. We've not actually had one person pass, and we've already had one person declared as fully recovered. And so that on a worldwide basis, that statistic is probably quite phenomenal, and it goes to show what an excellent job all of the various components of the machinery, including, of course, most importantly, the doctors at the HSA and the other medical personnel involved across the board are doing.
No, without question, I think too, if I can perhaps, look at this whole issue, maybe the community needs to not only continue to show its appreciation for the medical fraternity, but for us as a community to understand the importance of us to remain vigilant, to remain cognizant, but to remain at home in the interim. It's highly, if you listen to Dr. Lee, it's highly probable that if we allow this generational aspect to pass, within short weeks relative to months, we could start to get back to a greater sense of normalcy. But if we allow, this interaction with that interaction that has, a tenfold or, even further interactions down the road, then we just reset, the timeline again each time there's a new encounter. I know it's a challenge, but it's a small sacrifice, and it's worth it in the end.
And my own take, is really that the government is responsibly saying, look, there is a worst case scenario. It could get worse. We're hoping it gets better, but it could get worse. So be prepared for the worst case scenario, and that seems to me to be the most appropriate way to approach anything like this. I'm not speaking from the corner of experience necessarily, but just thinking about it pragmatically. Would you agree with that sentiment?
No, definitely. And I think if we will look at it. Not to downplay the importance of this, how serious it is. This has proven, fatal. I know the economics is important to many, but loss of life, to me needs to be the thing that we consider at the forefront. And if you think of a household that has traveled, right, we always find people returning to our offices in the past after a family vacation with the flu, or they caught it on the plane, the change in weather, the different things. So one person in the household gets it, chances are other members of the household get it. If they were able to stay within that confine, it may not go beyond that household. But this thing is, as we understand it, not unlike that, except that it's more serious. It can prove to be fatal, and even when it isn't, the symptoms and experience of those who go through it, from what you've heard, it's not pleasant. Dr. Lee says, what a physician would say as mild, you as a patient may consider it to be, this is mild. I don't want to see what you say as not mild. So let's see what we can do to not make it get to that stage where it is, so much worse.
And I think that I agree with you, and I think that we need to sort of take things with a little grain of salt as well when we hear the news bulletins, insofar as we're getting the facts, we're getting the hard, cold facts, but there is a lot going on in terms of world efforts to find a cure, and some real progress being made as well. But I leave it up to the medical personnel to really get involved, get in depth. And we're going to the press briefing, I believe, right about now, but anytime very soon we'll be cut directly to the press briefing. You still there, Sterling?
Yes, sir. And I won't take it as any offense. We go to the briefing because that is what is important for the nation, to be informed. And as you sit there and moderate, we start to recognize how important this whole process is. And as you shared, the medical fraternity globally, the scientists and researchers. But I think also, as a people, we need to be reminded that we're resilient, but we should not take for granted that we are more important than the plants or the birds or the animals.
Sorry, Sterling, we're now going to the press briefing. But excellent point, though.
And our listeners on Radio Cayman. And thank you for sending us in your questions. A reminder, the best way to do that is use the FAQs section of gov.ky/coronavirus. Here you can anonymously submit us your questions and use the new search function to find answers to questions that have already been addressed. Now, today's prayer comes to us from Bishop Dr. Clayton Martin.
Father God, we praise and honor you. This is your world. You have made us and not we ourselves. We are your people and the sheep of your pasture. Lord, you have promised that you will never leave us nor forsake us, but you will be with us always to the very end. All around the world, people are facing trouble and challenges linked with this virus. We pray that you will intervene by your Holy Spirit. We need your intervention, Lord. Help, we ask. We pray for the people of these Cayman Islands, our leaders, and those on the front line, male and female, young and old. Help, Lord. We need you to come and give us wisdom and discernment and strength. Guide us through this troubling time. You have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. As Daniel prayed, I pray. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, listen and act. For your own name's sake, do not delay. O my God, for your people and for the city that bear your name. We need you, Father, by your Holy Spirit, cover us. Thank you for the shed blood of Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary. We are protected and we declare covering in his mighty name. Thank you. Amen and amen.
We welcome our panel today, His Excellency the Governor, the Honourable Premier, the Honourable Minister for Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and we also have on hand the Minister for Health, the Chief Medical Officer and the Police Commissioner. We're also joined again by our sign language interpreter, Miss Carolyn Powell, and welcome also to members of the media who join us again via Zoom. So with that, I'll turn over to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Lee, for your update.
Good afternoon. The laboratory doesn't have any results to report that I can give you today at this time. They have run some confirmatory tests this morning, and another batch is running through their system and should be available in due course. I just have an opportunity to say a few things. Firstly, the director of the Sister Islands Health Services has asked me to advise that 17 people in total have been tested, one of positive, as you know, 10 are negative. All of the contacts of the positive person have now been isolated and are doing well. As far as masks are concerned, just a bit of further advice. I am aware that they're not freely available yet, so we haven't made any wider advice regarding their use, except if you're able to wear one, they will reduce the potential for you to spread droplets to other people. So they will, as a community, help to reduce any potential spread of COVID-19. But we really have to stress that it is one small part, and the much bigger protection that you can afford yourself is to stay back from people, stay at least 6 feet away, that social distancing, keep your hands clean with soap and water or sanitizer, and respect respiratory hygiene as previously advised. I've also been asked to just mention about there are some concerns that swabs may not be of the right standard. We've had no problems with the swabs whatsoever. In fact, I discussed with the senior laboratory technician who runs the polymerase chain reaction machine, and there are a lot of internal controls which are run every time sets of results come off the machine, and these internal controls will let you know if there is a problem at any way with the swab or the sample and alert you to that so that a wrong report is not given. So I don't have any, as I said, apologies, no more results to give. Just to say that there are 43 students so far who have all been negative, 27 on the first day, 16 on the second day, and I believe they've all been released.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. I know we have some questions for you from the media. Cayman Campus, Reshma, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Lee, you just shared some numbers with the students who are at the government facility. Can you say if any of those students and those at the facility have been released and allowed to go back home?
Yes, been released, yes. Gone back home.
Okay, sorry. You were saying?
Yes, they've gone back. I presume they've gone back home, yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, I've had a couple of questions come in particular. I know you would have addressed this issue before with hydroxychloroquine. I always mix that word up. But we've seen recent reports with the U.S. president once again endorsing this drug for use, widespread use. Can you speak to this particular drug and if it is being explored for use here locally? What would you advise the public to do with respect to this particular drug?
I think chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and actually a number of different agents are potentially going to be of use in the management of COVID-19. It's a very old-fashioned drug in many ways. It's been around for an awfully long time, so we know how it behaves. And also, in this particular case, it's cheap, so that's a good thing and should be readily available, and we'll be able to ramp up supplies in due course, I would imagine. As far as treatment protocols for the country are concerned, we've actually gathered a group of people to try to look to see if they can be responsible for drawing together the best evidence and be up to the minute. And that group will be meeting for the first time in a day or two in order that we will have as a country one unified approach to the management of patients, both in the primary care or early setting and then again if they need a hospitalization.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Just to build on U.S. reports and follow up on this, we've seen reports of U.S. blocking exports of medical supplies, most recently ventilators that were destined for, I think, Barbados. Does Cayman have any U.S. Medical supplies coming in, and have you experienced any issues in terms of getting those supplies to us?
Reshma, I'm sorry, I'm not the best person to answer that question. We have a large number of people looking at the supply chain issue. I haven't had any particular instances. I've heard there are threats of that as you're describing. I haven't had any specific instances reported, but I would have to seek further information about that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee. I'm going to give way for my colleagues to continue their questions.
Thank you, Reshma. We'll turn first to Caymanian Times. Ralph, I believe you have a question for Dr. Lee.
Yes, and good afternoon. Thanks for having me again. Dr. Lee, we expect to reach, I think, 1,700 tests today by the BA flight. Do you know the average cost for one test?
I know that the billing price is somewhere between $100 and $150 per test. I understand that's about the going rate. As far as the parts that go up to make up that price, I don't know the details. I'm sorry, that is not something I have to hand.
Okay. That is sufficient. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
Sorry, to the Governor, just worth adding that those 1,700 kits are being funded by the UK Foreign Office, so we're not paying for those. They're UK Crown agents who have supplied those as part of a wider supply to overseas territories.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. I know we have CIGTV's Donna Bush standing by with a question from the public. Donna.
Are you muted,
Donna? Donna, if you can hear us, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. Hello, everybody. Dr. Lee, will there be any type of antibody kits ordered or used to test those who may have already had COVID-19 along with the test kits?
There are a considerable number of antibody kits that are available for purchase around the world. However, both Public Health England and PAHO have both very recently written to me to say that they cannot be used extensively because they have not been validated. And in the tests to validate some of them, they've come up as showing very poorly against the PCR test. In other words, they're having a lot of false results, which we would not want to expose. We would not want to base decisions upon. So not at this time, Donna, no.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Donna. Cayman News Service, your question for Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Caroline. Dr. Lee, can you just give us an update on the current health status of each of the positive patients, i.e., do we have any new people in the hospital? Is anyone getting sick? Just so that people know the levels of impact on the HSA.
Sure. I am able to report that the HSA has got a lot of spare capacity at the minute because following the reduction in their and cancellation of elective work, they have a lot of empty beds ready to receive anybody that needs them. I mentioned, I think yesterday, that there was a patient that had been admitted. There was also a previous patient that had been admitted. I know that the patient that's been there for a longer while is relatively stable. I haven't got an update today on the person that was admitted yesterday.
Oh, can I just clarify that then? So we now have 2 patients in the hospital that have tested positive for COVID-19.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, members of the media. We'll turn now to the Police Commissioner.
Good afternoon. The overnight report. Generally quiet overnight with no significant issues of a policing nature arising. Crime remains very stable and the hard curfew period continues to operate quite well across the islands. The majority of the issues we encounter are being encountered during the period of the soft curfew. Looking at Little Cayman overnight, no issues arising, 2 vehicles intercepted by police and both were essential services personnel. Cayman Brac, 38 vehicles were intercepted by police, 5 persons found in breach of curfew and warned for prosecution. In addition, 1 person in Cayman Brac was arrested and interviewed relating to the publication of a false statement relating to COVID-19 in Cayman Brac. That person was released on bail pending further investigation and preparation of a file to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for legal ruling. And I'll just take a moment to re-quote Section 64 of the Penal Code 2017 revision, setting out the penalty for making or publishing a false statement or report. The penalty is $5,000 Cayman dollars and a term of imprisonment of up to 5 years. Looking at Grand Cayman last night, 59 vehicles were intercepted by police, 1 person found in breach of curfew and warned for prosecution. All other persons were found to be exempted essential services personnel. Turning to this morning, since 6 a.m., 14 persons have been found in breach of the soft curfew regulations, 11 persons in Grand Cayman and 3 persons in Cayman Brac. The breaches detected are mostly associated with persons going to supermarkets on unapproved days. These cases are being detected by police officers on static checkpoints who are checking vehicle movements and documents as people move across the islands. This morning, business at supermarkets, pharmacies, banks and gas stations are operating well. They're well controlled, well managed, with all persons adhering to social distancing protocols. There is some activity along the beaches with persons out exercising, and indeed a small number of persons are in the water swimming. Our helicopter and marine units continue to be deployed on extended tours, monitoring marine and ground activities across the islands. Just before finishing, a reminder, hard curfew returns at 7 p.m. this evening, remains in place until 5 a.m. in the morning. No unauthorised persons should be outside and away from their homes during these hours. Police static and mobile patrols will be in place across the islands. And I thank you in advance for your full cooperation as we go about our business protecting communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Byrne. I believe the Compass has one question for you. Reshma.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Commissioner, for that report. I'm just curious, we are going into, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 weeks, because the days are kind of, mushed into one now. But what's the morale like for your team? We've been at this, we're in the lockdown, we're in the soft curfew, hard curfew. What's the feeling like from your team as we continue this exercise?
Feedback on morale is pretty good. I think I spoke at an earlier conference or media briefing about our tours splitting into 12-hour tours, 4 days on, 4 days off. Very well received by officers. And obviously on some of the days that the officers are off, they are working overtime to meet our commitments and demands. But generally, we're providing all the necessary facilities and support for our officers, and feedback is morale is quite good.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that. Just a point of clarification, in terms of the ticketing provisions that were introduced, that has not kicked in yet, or has it? Just for clarification. So
it came into effect this morning, but we haven't started issuing tickets. And that is a permissive, we may issue tickets, or we can proceed as we are, warning for prosecution. We're working on getting the tickets printed as we speak, and later in the week we look at the enforcement.
Okay, many thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Any other questions from the media for the Commissioner? Nope. Thank you, Commissioner Byrne. We turn now to our panel and the Premier.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I want us to start today by expressing best wishes thoughts and prayers for the health and recovery of Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who it has just been reported has been transferred to intensive care as his condition has worsened. We pray fervently for his urgent and full recovery. I just want to say that this underlines the point that we keep making over and over again. Mr. Johnson is a relatively young, fit, highly energetic individual whom I've met on a number of occasions. Boundless energy. But this virus is no respecter of persons, whether you're Prime Minister or Prince. And it is unpredictable how people will respond to it. Prince Charles seemingly went through a very mild case of it, bounced right back, and is back at work. The Prime Minister is laid low in intensive care. So this just underscores the point over and over again that we must continue to do everything we can to avoid contracting the virus, because we do not know what the outcome is going to be for us. If people insist on being selfish, that's fine. But remember to be selfish about your own well-being and health. Do everything you possibly can not to contract the disease. The world stats: the United States, 356,414 cases, up 19,741 over last night. Total deaths now at 10,490, up 874 overnight. Spain, total cases 135,032, up 3,386 overnight. Total deaths at 3,169. New deaths are at 528. And it seems incredible to say this, but that's actually good news. For Spain, the numbers of new deaths have started to fall. Italy, 132,547, up 3,599 overnight. Total deaths, 16,523. New deaths, 636. Again, a fall in the case of Italy. Germany, 101,558. New cases, 1,435. Total deaths, 1,662. New deaths, 78 overnight. France, 98,010, up 5,171 overnight. Total deaths, 8,911, up 833 overnight. China, 81,708, up 39 overnight. Total deaths, 3,337, up 2, just 2 cases, just 2 deaths overnight. United Kingdom, 51,608, new cases, 3,802. Total deaths, 5,373, up 439 overnight. The UK's numbers have started to fall as well. That is good news. Canada, 16,498, up 986 overnight. 321 deaths, up 41 overnight. India, 4,778, up 489 overnight. 136 deaths, up 18 overnight. Philippines, 3,660, up 414 overnight. Total deaths, 163, up 11 overnight. Jamaica, still at, in terms of report, at 58 cases and 3 deaths. New York State, 130,689 cases, up 7,671 overnight. Total deaths now at 4,758, up 599 overnight. Anguilla, 3 cases. Bermuda, 37 cases. British Virgin Islands, 3 cases. Montserrat, 6 cases. Turks and Caicos, 5 cases and 1 death. I have a report with respect to the work of the Department of Children and Family Services, and in particular, the Needs Assessment Unit. Ongoing requests, this is with respect to support to vulnerable Caymanians in need. Ongoing requests continue to be processed for NAU services, with immediate focus being placed on food vouchers. 1,681 existing families are now approved for services. 136 new applications will be processed before the end of the week for immediate food vouchers. Persons who have already submitted an application may call 244-2426 for confirmation of approval of services. Additional support is now being received from the Department of Community Rehabilitation to assist with processing of calls and services. We've added 5 persons to this call center. Contact for NAU can still be made to 946-0024 in Grand Cayman and 948-8758 in the BRAC. Email nauinfo@gov.ky. The website is www.nau.gov.ky. With respect to the Department of Children and Family Services, the hotline for the aging population is 1-800-534-2222. Since the 23rd of March, there has been a total of 22 child protection referrals that have been investigated. The MASH team continues to be in operation to ensure the safety of our children and can be contacted at 1-800-534-2273 or emailed at mash@gov.ky. Emergencies, the number is still 911. Other general inquiries and information for non-emergency related issues between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. please call 345-916-2837 or 345-926-6853. Email dcfs@gov.ky. Now, turning to additional support for non-Caymanians in need. And I need to emphasize that these persons should not contact NAU or DCFS. They should email CIG COVID support at gov.ky. CIG COVID support is all one word. Or call 244-8000, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. 76 applications have been received for vetting from work permit holders, 3 from the sister islands. Distribution of one-off food vouchers will take place tomorrow and Thursday of this week. Persons meeting the criteria will be contacted today with further instructions on the voucher. As I said before, inquiries can continue to be made by emailing CIG COVID support at gov.ky or calling 244-8000, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And finally, as I have mentioned on a number of occasions before and responded to questions regarding, we have continued to have discussions regarding support for the business sector and the economy. And today I am happy to report that Minister Hugh will be announcing the first tranche of relief measures to support our micro and small businesses in an effort to arrest the economic disruption being caused by COVID-19 and to offer some economic and financial relief to our small and micro businesses.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, there's just one other point, is that the changes to the regulations were published this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you very much. I first, this afternoon, want to join the Premier in sending our best wishes to Prime Minister Johnson and his family. Clearly, this is very difficult news, but it again underlines just how dangerous this virus is. And if anybody out there is still in any doubt about that, then they shouldn't be. I also just want to say a big thank you to the overwhelming number of people who've been in touch with me in the last couple of days with messages of support, which I greatly appreciate. And I do want to say that the overwhelming majority of people in our community are stepping up at this time of crisis and demonstrating what Caymankind truly means. And I want to pay tribute to all of them. My own admiration and respect for the people of these islands remains undimmed, and it continues to be a great honour for me to serve as governor, and I will continue to do everything I can do to the best of my abilities to support you. I also want to say that I continue to work incredibly closely with the Premier, which again I think is exactly what is needed at this difficult time. So we have no new cases today. So our policy of isolating, tracing contacts and suppressing this virus remains very much on track. We are at a stage where we will now be stepping up significantly our testing capabilities, which is really important. And on the British Airways flight, which is arriving, there are 1,700 test kits on there and 200 swabs, which is very important to us. And I just want to underline again that I know there are concerns about all this equipment coming in internationally, but my office has been involved with supplies from South Korea and China, and we've been using the British embassies in Seoul and Beijing to do due diligence for us, ensuring that we can be satisfied about the quality of what we are purchasing. And I think it's important to mention that. So as our strategy continues, we continue to buy ourselves time to ensure that our health system is in the best possible shape, but we have to plan for worst-case scenarios, and there is a lot of work going on to make sure that we are in the best position that we can be. But yet again, as we've stressed repeatedly, please do follow the advice to limit human contact as much as possible, staying at home and following the advice that we are giving you. It is so incredibly important that everybody plays their part in that. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. As we all are aware, this global pandemic has caused significant economic dislocation across the globe. Right here across our islands, we see economic activities in major sectors have come to a halt, and there's no doubt that business and commerce will be affected in many ways that we did not anticipate. I want to assure the people of the Cayman Islands that the government will do all that it can to ameliorate the effects of the pandemic and give these islands the best chance for recovery. As Honorable Premier has mentioned on a number of occasions, there are discussions taking place concerning our support for the business sector and the economy. But as a government, we will continue to place priority on flattening the curve of new cases so that our islands can get back on its feet, or at least with some domestic activities in the near future. Just for a bit of background, in our immediate response to provide support to the micro and small businesses amid the COVID-19, the government, through my ministry, fast-tracked the opening of the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development late last month. The center has had to adapt its original plans to respond to the needs at hand. Since that time of opening, I am pleased to report that the staff members at the center have been conducting daily virtual and teleconference meetings focusing on business continuity for many business owners who have been impacted by COVID-19. I would like to encourage other entrepreneurs with an urgent need for assistance with cash flow management, business impact analysis, or those who need to redesign or rethink their business models to please contact the center. In preparation for a post-COVID-19 economy, my ministry will be implementing a number of relief measures to support our micro and small businesses. The government has always been proactive by making it a strategic priority to implement initiatives to support micro and small enterprises across our islands. Our Small Business Incentive Program, for example, has benefited more than 5,000 micro businesses and 700 small businesses since its inception in 2017. This was at a value of $2.8 million from the government. The thousands of micro and small businesses across the islands are an important part of our economic ecosystem. They are our small retail shops, restaurants and cafes, beauty salons, tour operators, web developers, marine services, hotel supplies, pest control, janitorial services, and the list goes on. The health of these sectors are important to the well-being of our islands. The measures that we have now been given approval by Cabinet to support these micro and small businesses will be in the form of 1, a low-interest loan program, 2, technical assistance programs, 3, training programs, and fourth and final, a micro and small business grant program. The low-interest loan program will provide financial and non-financial support to micro and small businesses affected by COVID-19. The loan scheme will provide initial funding in the amount of $5 million. It is intended for micro and small businesses that require help to meet their operational cash flow requirements. This loan program will be administered through the Cayman Islands Development Bank and will benefit businesses that are 100% Caymanian owned. The program will provide each borrower with a fully backed government guarantee. The amounts available to micro businesses will be up to a maximum of $20,000, and to small businesses will be up to a maximum of $50,000. There will be a 6-month period of moratorium between which the bank will not collect principals or interest payments, and the loan will be given for a period of 5 years at 1% interest in the first year and subject to increases thereafter. The application process for this loan program will be through the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development, which falls under the remit of my ministry. Of course, applicants must meet specific criteria for this assistance. At this point, I'd like to thank the chairman of the board at the Cayman Islands Development Bank, the director, and the staff for their cooperation and their assistance in getting us this far in developing the program. The technical assistance program will involve the use of paid, qualified accountants and other professionals to provide technical guidance and coaching to micro and small businesses to help them navigate this difficult period and to keep their financial obligations to financial institutions. The program is directed particularly at recovery from COVID-19, and technical assistance will initially be provided for 1 year, and the program of assistance will include, amongst other things, the following: document preparation to access financing, grants, or other stimulus products, preparation of business plans, strategic plans, business model design and innovation, business forecasting, business impact analysis, and finally, human resources services. The assistance will take the form of one-on-one consultation and coaching sessions with the clients. The total amount of funds that will be allocated to support the technical assistance program is $500,000. The training and handholding program, and I must emphasize to our micro and small business owners that training and coaching will be an integral part to the program in order to help you navigate the new world of business that will emerge post-COVID-19. The training modules will cover areas such as managing cash flow in a crisis, harnessing the entrepreneurial mindset, harnessing the entrepreneurial mindset, maybe harass it as well, managing changing human resource needs and business model innovation. And we encourage especially our micro and small businesses to take advantage of this, as it will be provided at no cost to you. Participation in at least one of these sessions will be a prerequisite for accessing the loan. And outside of the training associated with the loan program, other training sessions will be available to business owners as their needs are assessed. The amount approved for the training programs will be in the amount of $21,000. In addition to those initiatives, Cabinet has also approved the amount of $9 million to support the Micro and Small Business Grants Program. The Micro and Small Business Grants Program targets 3,000 vulnerable micro and small businesses and is intended to provide initially assistance of $1,000 monthly to selected businesses for up to 3 months. The objectives of this program will be to A, provide working capital assistance to micro and small businesses affected by the COVID-19 virus, which have enough of a domestic market to render the business recoverable, and B, to aid in the repurposing and transition of businesses that had a large tourist market and have demonstrated their ability to transition to a larger domestic market. In terms of eligibility criteria for the grant program, a business must have been operational for at least 12 months prior to March 2020. It must meet the definition of micro and small businesses as set out in the Trade and Business Licensing Law and must evidence COVID-19 related increases in receivables and or decreases in sales as at March 2020. For clarity, let me just read out the definition of the micro and small businesses. A micro business means a business that employs less than 5 persons, not including the owner, and has an annual gross revenue of $250,000 or less. A small business means a business that employs up to a maximum of 12 persons, not including the owner, and which has an annual gross revenue of up to $750,000. Applications for the Micro and Small Business Grant Program will be done through the Center of Business Development. The total amount in assistance that the government is providing to support the COVID-19 micro and small business relief measures is $14,521,000. Funding for the low-interest loan program will be provided by the Cayman Islands Development Bank. The technical assistance program and training programs will be funded by the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure. And the micro and small business grant program will be funded by the government. In terms of program administration, the validation and verification checks will be carried out by the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development, and there will be program guidelines for applicants and monitoring post-disbursements. Information on all the programs I have mentioned will be widely disseminated to the business community and other stakeholders, and will also be made available on the government website www.gov.ky/coronavirus. Interested business owners can also directly contact the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development at cicbd@gov.ky. That's cicbd@gov.ky for more details. I want to thank the staff at the center for taking on this Herculean task at this time. And we understand that other industries were not covered in these programs. However, in the coming days and weeks, we will continue to engage in discussions with members of the business community and other stakeholders to prepare for a post-COVID economy and to find interventions to lessen the impact of COVID-19 on your economy and our people. When we come together, we are stronger, and there is nothing that we can overcome. May God bless you, and may God bless our Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Hugh. Before we take questions from members of the media, we'll just invite the Commissioner back to give us a brief update.
Good afternoon, and just a correction and an apology. I was asked the question by Rishma, so it's an apology to the general public and to Rishma. And you asked me about the ticketing offences. So in fact, the regulations are gazetted today, the 6th, but they don't come into effect until tomorrow, the 7th. And I had previously said the 6th, so that was an incorrect statement. My apologies. I think a second question you asked me was about the morale of the service. And I should have added, we are greatly supported by the wider civil service, by our colleagues from CVC and from work, and also by our special constabulary, and also particularly by our support personnel, our civilian support personnel, who are working in the background to support us on the front line. So it's the wider service I wish to acknowledge rather than just the frontline officers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're here now from the Minister for Health, who has an update for us as well, Minister Seymour.
Good afternoon, everyone. Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. Scripture this afternoon comes from Exodus 23:25. And you shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall be blessed thy bread, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. I just want to reiterate something the governor has been saying in terms of persons wanting to travel. Been getting a lot of calls from persons about travel and when his flight's going to this and that destination. I want to say to you, this is determined by you calling and emailing the address. It's 244-3333 and or email emergencytravel@gov.ky. I want to also encourage companies. It is your responsibility to assist in emailing the emergency travel address with employees who are not working or whose work permits are expired. I think you have a responsibility also. My usual translations have been translated out and I brought that to a close. I know some persons were anticipating those translations on a daily basis, but I think we made the impact that they were trying to make and trying to reach out. Last week, I informed you of a few elements of the Health Services Authority COVID-19 preparedness plans. Much of the planning is happening behind the scenes. However, today and throughout the week, I'll inform you of our National Preparedness COVID-19 plan. Although there's tremendous responsibility for the HSA at this time, this truly calls for a national response, and the private sector is actively a part of the plan. Many of the private sector doctors are part of the NEOC Human Concerns Cluster, have been assisting with the flu clinics as well as working in the government isolation facilities. Dr. Benoit from the Health City and other members of the private sector will join the CMO's Council to expand the HSA's COVID Clinical Task Force. The private partnerships and support in the crisis are not invaluable, and this is a tremendous group effort as part of the National Response Plan. It was briefly mentioned a couple weeks back, but today I wanted to highlight and inform you of the physical work that has been done to the respiratory care unit, also called the RCU at the Cayman Islands Hospital. Some weeks ago, physiotherapy units at the hospital was relocated to the Smith Road Center to accommodate the space needed to start the new respiratory care center. We as a country are fortunate that the HSA had the space available at the Smith Road Center to swiftly relocate services in order to develop the RCU. This unit will be imperative in treating patients with respiratory issues as a result of COVID-19. As I spoke about last week, I'm pleased to see the public and private sector working together to make this possible, and this is truly a community effort. Doctors Hospital has donated beds, which was instrumental in setting up this unit also. The HSA currently has 11 ventilated beds with another 6 due to arrive this week. Health City is equipped with also 21 ventilators and is prepared to care for all the COVID positive patients Faith Hospital has one site as well. I'm happy to announce that the government has just approved the procurement of 30 additional ventilators for the HSA. As we know, our frontline staff are in a vulnerable role and their health and safety are the utmost importance. In particular, the RCU, these staff will be working in one of the most vulnerable areas as they will be working with confirmed COVID-19 patients. The HSA has provided additional staff showers for those employees working directly with COVID patients. All employees caring for COVID patients will be required to wear scrubs so that their personal clothes are not compromised. I'm pleased to hear of the additional steps being carried out to ensure staff caring for these patients will be taken care of. Government has also provided accommodation for government frontline workers who may have been vulnerable, members in their household whom they wish not to potentially expose at the end of every day. For those who are COVID patients who will require hospital admission, these important and crucial measures that have taken place in these islands is commendable. The HSA also welcomed their first full-time pulmonologist late last year, Dr. Miguel Mendoza, who's critical in the care of patients in the respiratory care unit. We are fortunate to have his expertise during this time when his specialty is of urgent need. All of this is great news for our country. We continue to evaluate, integrate, and involve our plans to adapt during a time when the landscape of obstacles are ever changing. Today, I would like to address the ongoing concerns around when to wear a homemade mask. I've said before, we at the ministry believe that if you're able to wear a cloth face covering in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain, such as corner stores and supermarkets or pharmacies, especially in times when community spread is evident, this is encouraged. We do not want to cause panic, as we know government at this time cannot provide everyone with a mask. However, the public can follow along the recommendations to properly make and properly sterilize cloth masks that you make at home. We will publish these guidelines on our website for easy access. We are not mandating that the public wear masks at this time, but understand that many will want to, and we want to make sure you do this effectively. I'm saying that I want to remind the public that the most effective way to stop COVID-19 spread is staying at home and social distancing. Masks on their own will not stop the virus spread. All other prevention measures or compliance with the regulations must be followed if we are to see this through with a good outcome. It has also been brought to my attention that there are claims by persons in the community that they are making and selling masks that are more effective than surgical masks. This is unfounded and simply untrue. Those persons should cease and desist immediately. They are causing more harm than good. In conclusion, you choose to wear a homemade mask, you will want to continue to employ good hygiene, avoid touching your face, washing your hands frequently, and washing the mask and soap every day. I can also advise you if you need any advice on this or to find out who is making masks, you can contact the Red Cross. In the end, as we've seen in China, staying home as much as possible and keeping 6 feet away are more effective. So, man, please stay home to save lives. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Minister Seymour, for your statement. I know we've brought you a lot of information today and there are a lot of questions, so we'll go first to Donna Bush with your questions. Donna.
Hello again. This question actually is for the Honourable Minister Hugh. You've mentioned about grants and loans for small businesses. There may be businesses, small and micro businesses, who are not in dire need of those, but may look to something like waiving of duties for a few months in small amounts. Is this something that's going to be considered for those businesses who may not necessarily need to tap into the grants and loans, but need some help?
Thank you, Donna. As I said, that we are looking at other incentives for this post-COVID-19 period when we do have some sort of local economy back up and running. We will be looking at stimulus packages at that point to see how we can best stimulate the economy and support our local businesses. So there are a number of things, and we will be continue our collaboration with various groups in the community, including the Small Business Association, the Chamber, and others. We're about to ramp up that sector or that segment of the operation. As you know, we were preparing for the virus. We are now dealing with the virus, and now we're ramping up our efforts in how do we recover after the virus.
Okay, thank you, Minister Hugh. A question for Premier McLaughlin. Premier, a lot of people are working from home, as we know, and a lot of people are running out of simple things like office supplies, but office supply businesses are not essential businesses. But there are a lot of people who are really concerned about the need for office supplies. Is there any talks about maybe putting something in place temporarily that they can be sourced for persons who are working from home?
Yes, we are talking about those things. We are being besieged by requests from every quarter. I think just about everybody wants things to go back to business as usual. Sometimes I get so frustrated, I tell you the truth, I wonder if it makes sense to continue the curfew, because the pressure we are under to allow more and more people out onto the road and create more and more opportunities for the virus to spread just frustrates the life out of all of us. But it's not going to be business as usual. And we can't open back every store that people need something from. So, but acknowledging that this is likely to carry on for quite some time, we are looking to see how we can make some of these supplies available to the general public with minimal risk. We see what's happening at the banks. I mean, the situation at the banks is most unsatisfactory despite our best efforts. Over 100 people stretching in a line outside is just a recipe for absolute disaster. So I use that as an example of, with the best will in the world, when we try to put in place limits on the number of people who can be in a place and the social and the physical distancing requirements, there's a knock-on effect because of the demand for whatever the service or the product is. So we're looking to see whether or not perhaps some sort of delivery service, some sort of curbside service might work. But quite frankly, if we acceded to the many requests that we are getting to allow businesses to open, we might as well do away with the curfew. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not being anything like that. It's just the sheer reality. The only way we are going to have a chance of this not becoming an epidemic like it is in New York City, like it is in Italy and Spain and the UK, is if we are prepared to be patient, put up with the inconveniences that this involves, the hardship in some instances it involves, for another few weeks. So I'm sorry to vent on you a little bit there, but we are really under immense pressure, all corners to relax this and to relax that, so people can get on with their ordinary lives. Getting on with the life the way that you're used to is likely to kill you or someone around you. That's what we're trying to get people to understand.
Thank you, Premier. I do have two more quick questions. Mini marts, do they fall under the supermarket mandate of that they're essential services? We know that there are various mom and pop stores, little convenience stores that are across the island. and they're being told to shut down because they're not considered essential services like a supermarket is. Can you speak to that?
Mini-marts, convenience stores are allowed to open during the soft curfew hours, but they're subject not just to the physical distancing requirements, but to a maximum of 6 persons within the store at any given time. And they're also subject to the alphabetical division of the population. So you're only allowed to go to the mini-mart on your allocated or assigned day, depending on your surname. So they're in the same category as healthcare facilities, pharmacies, supermarkets, gas stations, convenience stores, mini-marts.
Okay. Thank you, Premier McLaughlin.
Thank you, Donna. We'll hand over now to Radio Cayman. Felicia, I believe you have a question for our panel.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is for Premier Alden McLaughlin. We've gotten reports of people having some confusion when it comes to the alphabetical system when they have 2 last names or hyphenated last name, that when they have gone to supermarkets, they've actually been denied entry on both days. They've been denied entry and told to come the next day, and then they were denied again because they were supposed to come for the other day because of their last name. So to avoid future confusion, would you be able to clarify which should it be, the first or the second name in someone's last name that should be used as a guide on what day they're allowed to go and do their errands?
Well, you certainly can't have both. We do know that this has been causing an issue, and I'm going to make an executive decision here now. Let us use the first name. So if your name is Felicia Rankin, what's your other name?
Solins.
Right, we use the Rankin.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for clearing that up. That's all my questions.
Felicia.
So yes, we'll use the first surname of a double-barrel surname. We use the first surname, the letter that starts the first of the names.
Thank you, Premier. Cayman News Service, Wendy.
Thank you, Caroline. I have a few quick fires. First of all, we're getting a lot of reports about price gouging across the board, from insurance companies to supermarkets to gas stations. Can government confirm what the situation is with the price gouging law? Do you want me to stop there and get an answer, or all of the cues?
Well, I don't know that I can confirm anything. I mean, I keep hearing this, but we would need to have, solid evidence of this. The fact that the price has gone up significantly in the supermarkets does not necessarily mean that Woody Foster is gouging anybody. It may mean, as I think it probably is, that the price that he has had to pay to procure the product overseas has gone up significantly. I know that is absolutely the case with respect to meats, because I had a conversation with Woody yesterday. The price of meats in the U.S. has gone up phenomenally, although the local supermarkets are, for the time being, at least trying to hold the prices where they are. So that's an example. So I'm not trying to say that there is not price gouging. I'm simply saying that at this point the government has no way of knowing that is the case. We know because we've had anecdotal evidence that the prices in many areas have gone up significantly. But that in and of itself does not necessarily mean it's price gouging.
Thank you. Understood. Can you just say for the public where they should call if they do have this evidence?
I'm not sure which department that would be. But shall I say, if you believe you have evidence of that, at least for the time being, would you email that to curfew time at gov.ky, and it'll get passed on to me, and then I can. I'm not sure whether it'll go to the ombudsman or where it'll go. To be truthful, and I don't want to mislead people by sending them somewhere that they just go around in a circle. So I'll try to get to the bottom of that and get back to you.
Okay, sounds fine.
soon.
Next
Okay?
question. Can you also... Sorry, I overrode you then. Next question, I'm trying to get through these quickly. The general paying of fees, whether it's your driving license or whatever else that we need to pay to government that we owe, keep the cars on the road and everything else. Some people are having all sorts of trouble for a gazillion reasons, of which I'm not going to go into. But can we get some clarity that nobody's going to get prosecuted if for a genuine, honest reason they couldn't get the money to the government?
Well, you're asking for a broad concession. I talked about the situation with the Department of Vehicle Licensing, and the minister is actually here. We're looking at how we can deal with this question of you not being able to license a vehicle if your inspection is due within 3 months of the expiry of your coupon. We're looking to fix that, but otherwise, I don't know why people wouldn't be able to pay government money that they owe. If there's this particular department that is closed or has an issue with it, then I'd like to know. But I don't know that government's treasury has closed.
I'll just add to that, Premier. Yeah, we are working on a solution for the Department of Vehicle and Driver's License. Collection of payment wasn't the significant issue. We can do that online. The issue was the inspection. And we can't waive the renewals because then you're also breaking laws that the police are enforcing. So we think we have found a way without actually having to make a legislative change to allow persons to renew their vehicle licenses and then do the inspection later on. There's also the issue of insurance, not being able to renew your insurance or not being able to renew your vehicle without insurance, either way. But we've been working around the clock on that one. We hope to have a solution within the next day or two. The other issue is that of the driver's license renewal. We were having issues with that one because in order for us to issue the online identification to confirm that it is you, the person actually renewing the driver's license for safety purposes or security purposes. But we think we are finding a way to verify that over the phone, and we're working on those on a case-by-case basis. But again, we should have much more clarity on that within the next day or two. Trying to remember the other one that the trade and business license while I'm here. Again, this is another one that even if we were to defer the renewal of your licenses, this affects you with your banking, this affects you with immigration, this affects your business if you ever have to apply for an exemption from the government as an essential service. You need an up-to-date trade and business license. So again, we should be making some announcements in how we can renew the trade and business licenses that are up for renewal over the next month and allow people that have business to continue, allow them to continue streamlessly.
Thank you, Minister Hugh. Wendy, did you have another question, or should we move on to another?
Yeah, just one last question, which is coming from a lot of people, and I can understand why. The situation of Kimanians stuck overseas and then foreign nationals here that want to leave. I know that the Premier is keen to encourage work permit holders that have lost their jobs to go. So I just wondered if he could give an update on the progress of potential airlift to the United States and in the region with Cayman Airways.
I don't have any current report on the progress to the United States. And those discussions are still on the way. I had a chat with the Deputy Premier yesterday afternoon. He's working on that, but I don't have a report today. But it is something that is increasingly becoming a priority of ours to make these flights available for those who would like to leave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Reshma, your questions, please.
Thank you, Caroline. I'll start first with the governor and the BA flight. Governor, we understand that the BA flight actually is arriving today. Can you clarify that? And also, can you say what is being done with the passengers, the Bermudans who are coming on that flight, if they're overnighting here, or and the flight crew? What's the process with them? Can you provide some details on that?
The flight does arrive later today and is staying overnight, but it goes to Bermuda first. So the Bermudans will get off the plane in Bermuda, then the flight comes on here. The crew will be fully isolated, and that will be risk managed in line with the very rigorous practices and procedures that we have been following. And then the plane will depart tomorrow with those that want to leave. It's then going to the Bahamas to refuel, but also picking up some British nationals who wish to leave the Bahamas.
Thank you, Governor. I appreciate that. This one is for Minister Hugh. Just a point of clarification. There seems to be a couple questions came in on who can access the loan and the grant that you talked about. Can you just clarify who has access to this? Is it tourism related only, a broad scale approach for all small and micro businesses?
No, the loan program will be for 100% Caymanian companies. They will be processed through the Business Development Center, and then the loan application itself will be vetted by the Cayman Islands Development Bank. Then the grants program are for small and micro businesses, and I read out the clarification on what is a micro and what is a small business earlier. But the key part of this is it doesn't matter once you have had a trade and business license for 12 months prior to March. The key issue is that you have the ability, if you were tourism related, for instance, if you were a tourism related business, that you have the ability to convert your business into a business that can survive under the new local economy. Because otherwise it would make no sense for a business that has no opportunity to participate in the local economy to go into any sort of program to keep the business open. We are too far down the road before we will see business as usual to be focusing on trying to keep a company open from now until it could be as long as the end of the year. So one of the key features is that if you were a business that, for instance, was 100% tourism orientated, but you cannot find a way to transform that business into the local economy, then you would not qualify. However, under the training programs and under the business consultation program, we will work with those businesses. We won't simply turn them away. We will exhaust all efforts to see how we could possibly convert those businesses into a business that can survive on a local economy.
If I could just add one more.
Thank you, Minister Hugh, for that. I appreciate you clarifying that.
Reshma, bear with us 1 second before your next question. The Governor just has an addition.
I just want to add one point, Reshma, to what I said about the BA flight. We were planning a press release later, but the flight will also have a team of UK security, military and development people on it going to the Turks and Caicos Islands. A plane is coming in to collect them today from the Turks and Caicos. Turks and Caicos has some more immediate issues around security than we do. And I think I mentioned last week that on Wednesday I'm doing a virtual meeting with a wide range of departments in London to talk through the security situation here and how things may develop in the future, just as part of sensible contingency planning. But I think it's an important signal of UK commitment to the overseas territories that 15 to 20 strong advisory team is going to the Turks and Caicos Islands today.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for that update. Just a clarification for some questions that are coming in. Are we picking up anyone in Bermuda on that flight and bringing them into Cayman as well, or is it just a drop-off point and then continue on with the Caymanians residents who are coming back?
Just to drop off there are 130 Bermudans on that flight who are going back to Bermuda. Nobody gets on the plane in Bermuda.
Okay, appreciate that. And my final question, this one is for the Premier. I know you said on Friday that you were expecting to get a plan from the pension providers on a way forward to allow impacted workers to access their pensions. Can you provide us with any updates on that, if any at all? Thank you.
We haven't received the plan or proposal or report, whatever you want to call it, but I expect to do so by the end of the day. Then my government will have to consider it quickly and make some decisions. We'll hold a cabinet meeting sometime during the course of this week. We're holding them by Zoom these days, and make some decisions. The AG, I think, has made some very good progress on figuring out how we can hold a virtual meeting of the Legislative Assembly. And as soon as we get those details worked out, we'll move swiftly to have the necessary meeting so that we can make the legislative changes, because both a pension holiday and permission to withdraw from your pension in the present circumstances would require changes to the primary legislation. It's not something that Cabinet can do.
Thank you, Premier. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Reshma. We have a couple more from Caymanian Times, and then we'll go to Donna for one last question. So, Ralph, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Premier. This question is for you. First of all, I want to thank you for taking our questions. Understand the weight's on your shoulders, and that you're fighting to keep the balance between health and the country's future. I'll keep my questions brief as usual. Just some updates on some questions I had in the past. The money transfer situation. I understand from two sources that they have submitted their requests, and do you have an update on the results from those requests?
I've just finished a conversation with the Chief Officer in the Ministry of International Trade, Eric Bush, who's heading up the curfew time. He has had some. I think one of them was refused. He said to me there was no system outlined as to how they were going to manage the numbers. As I say, we are increasingly concerned at the situation with the banks, not so much inside but outside, the crowding. We are now firmly into community spread of this virus, and I have to tell you, we are increasingly concerned about the numbers of people who are congregating in supermarkets, outside supermarkets, well, not so much inside, but outside supermarkets and banks in particular. And I think unless we are satisfied that we're going to find a method to avoid this particular problem occurring with respect to the money transfer businesses, we're going to be very unwilling to allow another situation like that to develop. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying we have to come up with a better plan than is currently the case.
And I understand that knowing the numbers that do send money transfers, it will be a serious challenge. Some of our businesses, including mine, depend on our payments and checks coming by mail. And so we've had these questions, when will the post office maybe give us access to the mail in the boxes, and so we can continue some sort of business resumption, whether it be from home or on our days that we're allowed to go to the bank.
Okay, I'll raise that question with the Ministry and the Postmaster General. I hear your plea.
Thank you. And the final question is regarding the curfew. Earlier this week, or late last week, the Commission said that there may be some adjustments to the times. Will there be any changes going through the Easter weekend for the curfew?
None are currently planned, but of course this thing is always always evolving. But there have been no new issues that have been flagged up with me. So I think currently the plan is to stay the course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ralph. We have one follow-up question from CNS, and then we'll wrap up with Donna. So Wendy, go ahead with your follow-up.
Thanks very much, Caroline. It really is to do with the airlift. The reason why we were trying to get some progress is because we understand there are several Kimani in stock in the United States and other destinations that now have literally no money and no access to money. So they're the ones that are asking us to find out if there's any kind of rescue line for them.
Okay, I've been made aware of 1 or 2 cases, but no great numbers. But then again, we do have the travel hotline or emergency line, whatever it's called. So I don't know what the tally is there in terms of inquiries of people who want to come. But that's something we can check.
Thanks, Wendy. We'll head now to Donna for your last question, Donna.
My last question is for Commissioner Byrne. I know that His Excellency has been really huge on fake news and was the victim of some fake news just hours earlier. Has anything been done with the person who sent that voice note out regarding fake news?
So I said yesterday, Donna, that we have the matter under investigation. The voice message itself is being investigated as we speak by our digital forensic hub. We believe we have identified that person. I believe there are other posts being circulated just during the conference, as I understand it, and we will progress the investigation this week and interview the person who is primarily the suspect in the case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Any closing thoughts from members of the panel?
Well, the only thing I want to say is I didn't say anything yesterday about that that vile voice note because I was just so embarrassed and so angry. But they're not often that I'm ashamed to be Caymanian, but I have to tell you, that voice note made me ashamed to be a Caymanian. The governor has worked so incredibly hard. I better leave it there. It's just the most disgusting behavior that you could possibly conceive of. And I've already apologized to the governor on behalf of our people, and I know many people have as well. But Governor, that's not Caymanian at all. And I apologize again on behalf of all of us. I know that there is condemnation, general condemnation of that kind of note and that kind of behavior towards you. We have incredible regard and respect for you and your help in steering us through what is already a major challenge and is likely to be a much greater challenge until we come out the other side of this crisis. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us again today. There's been a lot of numbers, email addresses, contact information read out today. A reminder, you can find all of those on the resources section of gov.ky/coronavirus. You can also check out our social media pages for more information. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see you again tomorrow.